I have this lark idea that one day I'm just gonna do like a drum machine in my vocals. That's it. Like I'm gonna just nonstop scream over a drum machine and put it out there and see who wants to give me money.
Mod starts his own genre. Here we go. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Metal Maniacs Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Ingersoll, and I'm here with the co-host that wants to reach a new level.
It's your boy Mod. What's good, Jay?
What's up, buddy?
A new level, huh?
A new level
I
of
love
confidence and power.
You know what? I'm here for it.
So today we welcome Pure Anger from Detroit, the band Splinters.
Yeah, all right.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah, big round of
excited
applause.
to be here.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for coming. How long was the drive?
About 3 hours.
3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
God.
Bit of a
It
hike.
was strange. We were going to be here at like 11:50, then check the time, 11:54, going the same speed, not making any stops, and then it
Right.
just kept progressing and climbing on us. How?
Just keeps getting further away.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. We're like, man.
Where the fuck does this guy live anyway?
So Detroit's a pretty big city by all metrics. Where in Detroit? Whereabouts? Like what borough? What neighborhood?
I'm a little northeast of Detroit, so I'm considered like Royal Oak, Clawson, so on the outskirts of Detroit. And then these guys are actually about an hour north in Port Huron.
Yeah, me and Billy are up in Port Huron.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
That's cool. I wanted to gauge because again, not just in terms of population, but like square miles.
Yeah,
Like Detroit
it's crazy.
being the automotive, foundation of this country is like it was built to be big.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to get a good idea where exactly you're from for the Detroiters back.
Yeah, when
east.
people say Detroit, they're like,
it's every
where in Detroit?
yeah.
They're like Eminem.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, which Detroit are we talking about?
Yeah. So before we really dive into all things Splinters, can we just go around the table, tell us your name and what you do in the band? We'll start here.
I'm Tyler, and I play guitar.
Yeah, I'm Billy. I play drums.
And I'm Nick, and I am the vocalist.
Hell yeah.
Sweet guys, no bassist once again. I'm hurt.
Yeah.
I'm hurt.
They figured we got enough bassists in the room with you in here. They're like, fuck it, we'll leave them at home.
Our bassist, Casey, unfortunately had some medical issues going
no.
on. And
Oh, shit.
we had to make the tough decision. He's going to step away for the time being,
Okay.
get back and healthy,
yeah.
because he might have some surgery on the table, and it's going to long recovery time. And it's, we came as a agreement as a band to say, hey, let's focus on your health.
Yeah.
First thing foremost, get healthy, get better.
Right.
We were debating getting a fill-in, but too many people have already flaked out or just,
Right.
they got other bands, other commitments. So we're just going to backtrack the bass for the time being. It's
Okay.
just
Yeah, until it's ready.
logistically wise, it makes more sense for us, and definitely miss the live player
Yeah.
aspect of it. But also you can't. Bass is the glue. We play so low and so heavy. It's
Yeah.
like you need the bass in there.
No, especially in your sound. Like I get a lot of that bass. Like it's dirty, gritty, in your face. So it's you're a band that definitely requires that, at least in the backing track. Is that to say that you didn't go on with them last night?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
We right before we went on tour with 60, a couple weekend runs with them in early March, and it was like the day before he was going to come back up to Michigan because he's currently in South Carolina at his sister, because he's going to need like full-time care if it comes into it. So that's where tough decision, but you got to focus on your health first.
Yeah.
It's going to be too tough. We don't want him to kill himself going through all of this.
Yeah, no
and
kidding.
Pushing through. So
Yeah, at the end of the day, health is wealth. That's the most important thing, man. Like, and if you're not healthy, you're not going to be able to play down the road either,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So it's like you don't want to sacrifice something
Take a break.
now for
Take
the
a break
good of,
now for longevity.
Yeah, for the good
Right.
of the band or even the good of yourself. It's
absolutely.
all right. So let's get into this, guys. Let's start off. Just tell us a little bit about how the band was founded before you went and recorded. Like the demo tracks. You got 2 demo tracks, Grave and Dirt, right?
Yep.
Came out in 2021. So why don't you just take us up timeline until about then, and then we'll start diving kind of into your catalog, if you don't mind.
Yeah, actually started Grave, one of the songs that's on that demo track. I came up with that beginning riff. I had the idea. I play guitar on my own, but I don't play in the band guitar. I might write a few riffs here and there, send them over to the other guys to spice them up for us. But I came up, I had that intro line of Grave, and then that intro riff was just single ring out. And then that's basically how everything started going from there. We got with our original guitarist, Chad. I came up with these ideas. I had portions of songs, and I didn't have like a full concept of it. So I got with him in early 2021, because at this time, the pandemic was still rolling pretty hard. So there was not much else to do.
Right.
So I came up to Chad's with a couple of these ideas, and we came out with the EP right after the demos.
Okay.
On that. So Billy's actually my brother, and we've always made music together. So
Fuck yeah.
I've always played guitar. He's been the drummer. So it's like anytime I do something music, it's just whether he wants to or not, he's coming along with it because we just always played together.
I wish my brother was a drummer. What the fuck, man?
Right.
They're hard to come by, especially as good as Billy. Jesus, man.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't have much of a choice. Nick was just like, yo, you're going to play drums. And I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Who's the older brother?
I am. I am.
So
Oh, that's how that works.
I'm little big brother compared to him. But
That's cool as fuck, though.
yeah, Chad went to high school, actually. We got a younger brother. They were good buddies, and he said, hey, he's into music, and that's how I got introduced to Chad. So we didn't have a concept of like being a live band or anything. I just enjoyed making music and had these ideas. And then once we got together, Chad and I, we basically built all the songs up in one day, and then we kind of refined them after that. But we dropped those 2 demos, all self-produced, and definitely a learning curve, but those 2 demos people really enjoyed. So we're like, shit, do we take this a little more serious and actually start going? So
cool. So was there electronic drums on this demo, on these demo songs?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I could just kind of hear it in the cymbals on these ones at least.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, for like demos, I always get scared when I hear the word demo, right? Because you kind of don't know. It could be a total shitstorm of one microphone in the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, why'd you put that online, man? Like,
Right. Oh.
but you guys is like demo. I mean, it sounds great for what it is. You know, for a first
Thank you.
starting for, and it's like cool to see your maturation through all your songs, and we'll kind of go through most of your releases or whatever here. But I just I was very surprised because when I'm you don't ever know what you're going to get when it says demo, right? So,
Right.
But so that was when you guys just started jamming in like 2020 or something then, or like 2019, or
I started coming up with the ideas late 2020, around Christmas time when there's time off from work, and I was sitting around and I had my guitar sitting there, and like I said, I had that little riff line every night. I'm digging my own grave, and then it just like snowballed. That's why it's a short song. That's all I came up with at the time.
it's perfect.
But
right?
it was meant to be like an intro to the show type of thing, like kind of set the tone. So oddly enough, that was Chad's first time programming. He did all the recording of that. So I used to do recording back, I'd say in the early 2010s, late 2000s. And that was at the transition time of like MIDI, VSTs. I know it was out there, but it wasn't so well known like it is today.
And it's not as, the stuff isn't as good as the shit now. Like you don't know, like a
100%.
guitar, a guitar VST, you can throw one on there and you don't even know half the time now if it's real or fake or whatever. You're just like, that sounds sweet, It's
Absolutely.
like,
Oh,
so you always liked heavy shit then? Is that kind of the thing?
Always
same,
grew up.
same with you, Billy?
Yeah.
You're always just always into heavy shit, so that kind of works. Right?
Yeah, we in our high school band, we were like a cross breed of like Captain Chunk met Paramore, just like female fronted, real poppy vocals, and then I'd come in and do the yells and play guitar in it. Nothing serious at that time, but him and I, Billy and I, always wanted to do heavy music. Because you'd listen, it's like super upbeat poppy with like a death chorus type breakdown mixed in there. So people were like, what the hell type of genre are you? You're like Paramore here and then go into like crazy, just disgusting breakdown. So we played the craziest bills back in the day.
Okay. So then you put the couple demos out.
Yep.
I did have another question too about this because it does say, at least on your Bandcamp, it says basically the grave and dirt. It says on there, it says it was going to be on the album Plague,
Yes.
but the actual EP is the Undesired, right?
Right.
So was that just like you pivoted when you put the songs together? Was that kind of how it was?
Kind of, yeah, that's how it went, because with those two, Dirt and Grave, like I mentioned before, was middle of the pandemic. So I was kind of playing off of, we're in a pandemic. This is the Plague demo, like kind of
okay.
spinning it around,
Yeah.
spinning it around there. And then as we refined the demos and started putting the other songs that are on the Undesired, which turned into the EP, it just fit the vibe more.
Okay.
Actually, the album art's from Billy. There was a building fire in Port Huron right down the road from him, and he came out and took a picture of it.
Yeah.
Pretty
There's an abandoned warehouse just down the road that was lit on fire. It was insane.
And we're
Yeah, I
like, that
remember
looks
that.
really cool.
Yeah.
Scary.
I didn't realize that's where you got that from.
Yep.
That's funny.
That's so that was the cover of the Undesired, is what you're saying there?
Yeah.
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 Cool,
Yep.
cool. So then where do you come in then on this, Tyler?
Yeah, I joined in August of 23.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's still a little in
Okay,
between
so there's
that
some
time.
stuff before
Yeah.
we get to Tyler. Okay,
Yep.
cool. So the EP, that's the one thing I would commend you about you guys' songs is like sometimes I like the shorter songs, especially when they're just pissed off all the
Yeah.
way through, and I like 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I don't need 6 minutes of that. Like you
Right.
know what I mean? I'd
Right.
rather have 2 songs. And what I think you guys do a great job at, and I wanted to commend you on this, is we all play metal, right? And sometimes it can all kind of start to sound a little bit the same or whatever. But you guys is a thing that I've always tried to do with the music Nick and I have done or my own music. I just want to throw a little something in there different on each song just to kind of make
Right.
it stand out. And it kind of reminds me of Accuser of the Brethren. They do that
Yeah.
really well too.
Yeah.
So
It's like you guys got that mean fucking dirty breakdown, deathcore type, hardcore type shit. But you guys always throw in a little element to make that song different than a different one, or the previous song. So
Right.
I just want to commend you on that because I think that's a good way to like be able to tell the songs apart.
Yeah.
Because some bands you listen to and you can listen to 6 songs and it's literally just the same 6
Right.
songs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, no, thank you
So
for that.
I think that's awesome. We reviewed one of your tracks on the show.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
then we'll get to that here in a second or whatever. But when I started to go through your catalog for the podcast, I was kind of just expecting maybe all of that. I
Right.
don't know. But then I was
Right.
like, okay, I got a little treat every single time.
Yeah.
So we'll get
Yeah.
into some of that
Yeah.
here.
Awesome.
But I just wanted to throw that out there before we really start diving in.
Yeah, thank you. We
So
appreciate
great job with that, And then so you got the EP, like I said, short and sweet, really cool. So I'm assuming then you re-recorded Grave and Dirt then?
Yeah, so we ended up re-recording because at the time our original guitarist Chad was doing all the recording for us. We'd go over, do the recording. The first demos actually was his first attempt programming drums. So that's where you see the evolution
Okay.
of the drums coming through. But once the EP we were dropping, the Undesired, we ended up redoing everything because if you listen to the tracks, there's slight differences, little bit lyrical changes, and wanted to kind of beef them up. We saw what we were trying to do with the demos, learn for them, and then wanted to reapproach them kind of more fresh. So that's where we re-recorded all the demos we had and got new plugins. You just kind of change we were finding our sound at that time.
Yup.
We were really dialing in, I feel like, at that time.
Yeah, you can hear the growth. I do want to throw out there too, like when I first listened to these demos, like the first Dillinger singer, you kind of remind me of him a little bit on this earlier stuff.
Right,
like
right.
You've kind of gone away from that now, but like that's kind of the vocal that stuck out to me was the first singer of Dillinger, just with the yelling or whatever. But I will say, like as far as Grave, I like that's another thing. sometimes you may not have the pop structures in every band. Like, I'm a big fan of verse chorus stuff, but you don't have to have that. It's whatever you feel like making. But I think your vocals and your vocal patterns also help set that up, because I will fucking bitch all day, ask Nick about like too many vocals or no patterns or whatever. That's that's always kind of like my sticking point with metal. It's like, man, just kind of slow it down. You don't have to sing over everything. You don't have to like give me something to catch on to. And when I'm done listening to these songs, I have something like every night I'm digging my own grave, like that line, like it kind of sticks in your head. And I think that's very important in our style of music, so I can take something away from that. Because if you play 6 songs for me live, and then I'm just like, nothing stuck with me, just sounded like one long song.
Right.
But if you play something like that and it sticks in my head, I'm like, okay, there's the end of song 1. Now you bring me song 2 that has a different pattern or something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So that's why I'm just a stickler for it. I think it's important to sometimes make music for yourself, but think about your audience as well. Like, what would something resonate? Like, how could I make this a little more for the fans, or a little more resonation with a broader general public, But that's just me. Nick and I talk about this. I could just be screaming into the void like too many vocals, too many fucking vocals, because like deathcore, like, is pretty much that. You got bands like Carnifex, bands like Whitechapel.
Yeah.
Like the singers kind of just sing over everything constantly all the time, It's like, I get if you're influenced by that stuff, maybe you'd want to like do that because that's what because you love deathcore.
Absolutely.
But so like I said, maybe I'm just screaming in the void. Maybe I'm old and maybe I just want to hear a good song sometimes. So but I think you guys do a perfect marry of both of those things.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, Nick, you play guitar and you help set up some of the songwriting. Is that part of your mindset, is like, I'm not gonna sing here? Like, you kind of know, like, this part is just musical.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly how it goes. A lot of times when I come up with these songs, it's a voice memo of me like humming the beats to it, and
which is hilarious.
Yeah, we want that B-roll. That's some content.
Insert humming right here.
It works though. It's like I get that idea, and that's what I think. When Chad and I got together, we mixed so well with how we were going to do music together. I could say same way I write with Billy. I can know his drum parts or know kind of what he's doing or gonna do. So when I'm writing the music, I like to accentuate, or I don't know, I like to match the beats with my vocals. So it's like the kicks hitting you, the vocals are hitting you, everything's like bop, 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 bop.
Okay.
And then that's kind of how I get in some of the portions, but then to your point, I'll be like, all right, I want a break right here. I want like the riffs to really come through. I want the people to really vibe out on it and enjoy it. So it's kind of like a mix of all of that.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, and the drum that we always beat here is that when you step off the microphone as a vocalist and you just let the instruments do their thing, when you come back, it elevates the song. It has more impact. And that's the point that Jay and I are trying to make. And I know it's just two guys in a basement going up an entire genre across the globe of Whitechapel wannabes where look, Phil Bozeman, great vocalist, and they're one of the OG deathcore bands, but at the same time, I just listened to the new album, and unless that guitar is doing a solo, Phil's on the mic.
Yeah, the whole
fucking time. And I got 7 songs in, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to come back because I'm just like,
Phil's almost overwhelming.
Phil's in my ear hole the whole time, and he's doing the vocal acrobatics, and I'm like, there's music in the background, and it's pretty good music. I could go on about that too, but just for my own personal taste, and I don't go as deep into the rant as Jay, but but personally, I have to agree though, because I was just kind of like, man, if he would just like let the guitars do their thing for a minute,
right,
and then come back, it would be more impactful. But when you're nonstop screaming, it loses the intensity. It's just like
it gets too busy.
Yeah, and it's
and
just
you get
like
lost.
Being yelled at the whole time.
like you're cowering.
Yeah, what are you doing to me, man? Like I didn't know you're mad at me. But yeah, like I think vocalists, especially when you're not holding an instrument, you need to have that self-awareness that, hey, let the song breathe a little bit, and then when you come back, because you can let the riff introduce itself, and it could be like the breakdown riff. It could be super heavy, and then just let it ride one fucking time over, and then you jump in.
Yeah.
with a scream or a growl or just something otherworldly, just like,
Right.
here you go, and you
Kinda like
deliver,
how-
and it's just going to be like the hair on my neck's going to stand up.
Kind of
but
how rot hits.
Yeah.
Like,
and,
just like
but
that.
if you're just singing from the last riff and you carry over your scream and then you start screaming some more, I didn't get a chance to know the change happened.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just vocals and drums at that point.
Yep.
And then I have this lark idea that one day I'm just gonna do like a drum machine in my vocals. That's it. Like I'm gonna just nonstop scream over a drum machine and put it out there and see who wants to give me money.
Mod starts his own genre. Here we go. Fucking acapella death metal.
But
Feels like that sometimes.
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
completely agree because you do get lost in it, and I like the music to shine through sometimes,
Yeah.
and just like you mentioned, that attention grabber that bring you back. It might not be anything too technical, but I like the music. I'm always been love to hear guitar riffs come through,
Yeah.
but also don't want a song where it's only vocals one part. You know,
Right.
It's hard
You
to
gotta- you
get that
gotta
good
get-
mix.
Yep, you got to have a balance, and that's my big thing is when I bitch about these things, I'm like, you could sing as much. It's just about the patterns you choose, or give me a little something to hang on to. You know, it's like you just don't want to be ranting the whole time. But let's get back to this because we'll go on for hours about that. You know, so the Undesired EP, I thought the production, you know, it was different, but you could see the growth and it sounded great. Before we jump into this, though, did I hear you say the first drums were programmed, or did you play those, Billy, on the Dirt and Grave demo?
I don't think we could ever figure out how to connect my E-kit to the actual computer. So I think we just had Chad plug them in as close as he possibly could.
Okay.
And then,
So you still wrote those parts, basically.
Yeah. And then when we got to the Undesired, that's when Chad he got a lot better with programming the whole thing. And so he took videos of me playing, and some of the E-kit MIDI files would send over. But yeah, for the most part, he just plugged in my own drum parts.
Okay, cool. So you didn't have no qualms with that because they were so close to what you were already doing. It was kind of like, yeah, I'm playing that anyway type thing, or
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I just thought I heard you say that, and I was just kind of wondering where
the
Billy
very
came in
first
on that,
when
so.
I first went over to his apartment just to to make sure the guitar parts matched and mixed well, it was literally just him on a keyboard doing
Like
the kick
MIDI
snare.
shit, yeah.
And then we listened back to it and we're like, this sounds like dog ass. We need Billy to come in and bring like a drummer's perspective into it,
Yeah.
because we're two guitarists
Right.
trying to write drums, and it did not work
Never goes well.
Yeah, there's a swagger that Billy has to bring in.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
There's just that feel, and then like, Billy, do you play guitar at all?
No.
Okay,
I
okay.
bought one, but haven't touched it.
Well, I mean that's cool though, because I feel like sometimes when a guitar player is like writing drum parts or vocal parts or whatever, you approach it as a guitar player, so
Right.
you don't come as a drummer would actually
Right.
play.
For real.
You know, you want to match every note to every note on the guitar riff because that's what you think would happen. But
Yeah.
there might be a lot of times where he's not playing as much or playing a little more when you're playing a little less. So that's kind of cool about like just the drummer aspect and not playing guitar. You
Right.
know?
Right.
So had the Undesired EP that came out July 1st, 2022. It says here.
Yep.
Anything else you want to say about that? I thought it was a great EP though, man. The great songs on there.
Yeah,
Cool
no,
shit.
I really enjoyed how it came together, and I think we were really honing in on our sound.
Yep.
To mention, like you said, each song is a little different. There's different elements in each, and it was fun bringing that together, and we were starting to progress into the later stuff after that with a much better idea. Like, okay, this is the style we're looking at. You can kind of anticipate where you're going with the music, and it was such a great learning experience, that first EP.
So I noticed though. So this is the only EP, but you guys got I don't know, 5 other songs.
Yeah.
So what was the idea behind just going with singles after that?
The idea, when Chad and I were kind of talking about it, same with Billy at the time, because it was just the 3 of us at that time, it was weird because we did get a little noise talked about us and making a scene from the live shows, but with the pandemic and it was live music still kind of coming back, but it was a lot for bigger bands. we were noticing bands weren't really pushing out big albums. A lot of people were pushing singles, especially at how early of a stage it was for us to gain attention. We didn't want to drop all our music right off the bat and then be like, well, now what?
Right.
And take, too long of a
Smart.
time to really get more music out there. We wanted to stay relevant. We didn't want, oh, you guys had an awesome, first album, and then you don't hear from us for
3
a year
years
and a half.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea was to keep pushing, to keep gaining traction, to stay, I guess, in the not necessarily limelight, but stay active by every couple months dropping a new single to keep that buzz going.
That's super smart. And the difference between dropping a single and an album is almost zero. Because I'm going to listen to your single in one day, in one sit, or I'm going to listen to your whole album in one sit, and then that's it.
Yeah.
But if you got 10 singles every other month, you're dropping a single, or something like this, every month you're dropping a single.
Yeah.
Well, now you kind of got the carrot baited on the hook, and I'm like trying to always get hear my Splinters fix every week or every month,
And that's
Especially
exactly how we
nowadays.
were planning. Yeah.
like that's the model, that's the business model. Now that said, end of the day, you've given me 10 singles. Now I want my fucking album.
And that's exactly,
100%.
you jumped into it because that's exactly where we're at right now.
Okay.
So we can get into like the future stuff.
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little
we
later,
will.
But
We will for sure.
Yeah, I think the only problem with that is like if you don't record them all at once, now you have all of these mastering issues or something.
Yeah.
Where you,
Or one mix
song to
is different
song
than the
doesn't
other.
sound the same.
Yeah.
So that's another hurdle to jump when you choose that business model.
Absolutely.
It's like you've got 10 singles, but now how do I make it sound like a cohesive album from one track to the next?
Right.
What were you saying, Tyler? You were saying
Oh
something?
no, I was just agreeing.
Okay.
Like,
So then we move on to Inhibited. That was like the next single after the EP. Another song that kind of had there was like a little thrashy part in there. So it was like kind of cool. That's why I'm talking about those little things that stick out, because that thrashiness isn't really in any of the other songs,
Right,
So it's like you gave me a little different flavor in there. So I wasn't just expecting the same thing that I've heard before. When it comes to the single coming out in 2022, so the Undesired EP came out July 1st, 2022, and then Inhibited single came out in August, right?
Right.
But
We're talking like a B-side? Was it already in the bag?
was it already in the
It
bag,
was
or
kind of in the bag at that time. Like we had the idea of it, but we didn't have it finished out at the time. And then after the Undesired, we wanted to be known around Michigan. So we just were like, hey, while we work on this, let's just screw writing right now. Let's play. And really wanted to meet people in the scene and really get our names out there. So we were like, hey, we got this. We can add it to the live set and, tease it. But we want to, because it was a lot different than what was on the Undesired.
Right.
So we wanted to refine it, make sure everything was cohesive enough to make sense. So it was kind of in the bag, but it was like half in the bag.
okay, I
would
gotcha.
say.
It wasn't ready for the EP, but
Right.
it was kind of on the docket for the next thing that you guys would come out with.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's also good following the business model they'd go on to choose, like drop the EP, and then here's another single. I would have maybe even waited more than just the month between.
Right.
Like, you could have, kicked that down the line a little bit, but that you had it ready and dropped it is cool for your fans. Like, oh, by the way, here's another new one for you.
Right.
Putting in the work,
Yeah.
Right.
And then we move on to Blind Eyes, and this one says July 2023. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was about
so
that
it was
time.
almost a year.
Yep.
And now is this where you come into the fold, Tyler?
I was still a little bit.
Still
before.
a little in
Okay.
there. We're still.
Sit tight. We'll
Yeah,
get to
we'll
you.
get to you. No, don't worry.
Be patient. Your time will come.
We're incubating you. Don't worry. He's gestating right now. But yeah, this is the one that we covered on the
Yep.
show as far as
Okay.
the reaction or whatever. And this one was super cool in my opinion, and
remember.
different from the other ones, is because you guys had a little like production in there as far as like hip hop kind of beat.
Right.
Like going on in there. And that's why I said I kind of expected to hear more of that and the other stuff, but you kind of don't hear that again, which is completely fine.
Right.
But another little nugget of being able to make that song a little bit different.
Yep.
And I just thought that was super cool. Like, and obviously I listened to it again after we reacted to it, because we'll listen to it and we just say the first thing that comes off. You know?
Absolutely.
Another short but sweet song.
Yep.
I like. Is there an idea behind the short songs?
I think just growing up, I had a lot of hardcore influence, and then short and sweet songs. And I always like longer songs, but then there's sometimes we didn't want to beat a dead horse. Like, hey, we like where it's at, and we'll hear from people, oh, you could have added this there. You could have added this there. And it's like, yeah, we could have, but would it have had the impact this song does now? You know, I think for me personally, in a writing aspect, once I feel like the song's done, I can't see outside of that. I don't want to add more. And that's where some of our songs are short, and we probably could add to them, but it just feels like it's complete at that point.
The songs I listened to on the way down here, like, they were done.
Yeah.
When they were done, they were done. I didn't sit there and think, oh, it's already over. I was like, yep, that was a song. Yeah. And I knew what I was in for. I knew they were a 3-minute song, so I didn't expect any. Like, when it stopped, I knew it was over. I wasn't waiting for something to come back to me, like fade back in. All right, that was a song. Next, let's go. Like, let's rip. I'm doing 100 miles an hour to get here. Driving angry for no reason.
But the nice thing is then it's like, okay, the next song's coming up. That's why I like to listen to you guys' all of your songs, because I knew it wouldn't take me that long to listen to. I'm not in for a 9-minute song, even though we heard a real cool 9-minute song earlier today. But,
yes, we did.
Yeah, I think for the style of music that you guys play, I think that's perfect.
Yeah,
it's short and sweet, and it's over, and then you makes you want to come back and listen again.
And then when you play live, you can play 7 songs,
right?
Yeah,
instead of 3 songs,
right? And that's a big point. That to some of it, I'm like, man, guys, we gotta maybe cut a song or two, but these are so fun to play because it's just like the whole time, you know, we have enough songs in our catalog to fit a 25-30 minute set, so it's nice. And Blind Eye's funny little fun fact, we almost did not release that, and it's our most popular song.
Really?
Yeah, when Chad wrote that song, he sent it to us, and Billy and I were like, this is fucking cool. And he's like, I don't think I like it, because it was a lot different than what we were kind of doing. So it was demoed out late 2022. Okay. And then we were like, all right, no, we want to do this one. And then that's when we came up with the idea to do a music video with it.
Okay. Let me go back just a little bit. So then, I'm sorry, on the Inhibited and then like Blind Eyes, these are recorded at different times?
Yes. Okay. Actually really close to each other.
Okay. But now, Billy, are we playing on these now?
No, I think Chad. This is when Chad started writing all the drums, because we would be playing and like writing together, and I'd be like, that's exactly what I would write to that.
Nice.
But also, Blind Eyes was beating my ass for like weeks. Some of the parts were just so tricky, but that's the fun of having. I mean, you see all the memes with the guitarist writing drummer parts and stuff like that. But like the cool thing about it was, I think it made me a better drummer too. But just being able to know that Chad's going to write something that's very similar and probably push me a little bit has been a pretty cool experience altogether.
That's kind of cool. That's the first we've ever heard of that. Like, kind of like, oh, here's your drums, bro. Let me know how it goes.
Right. I think writing with him, like the Undesired, and like Billy said earlier, he has like the recordings of Billy playing. He knows the notes that are coming with it, but then like Billy said, he'll change something up to where it's like you wouldn't think it would make a big change in the song, but there might be a little off tempo like snare part with the ghost notes that Billy does a lot of, that it's just a nice little accent in there. And if you're a musician too, sometimes it's like little treats to people that are like, oh, that's a cool way of doing it.
Plus, when you hear the song over and over and over again as a musician, you're constantly practicing it, and then Billy will add a little nuance to it, and you pick up on that right away. You're like, oh, that was new. Yeah. I like that. Always do that. Never forget that. Right. Like, that was too cool to forget. So, yeah, that's good, too.
So, on the Inhibited or the Blind Eyes, is there any pushback ever then, Billy? Like, don't really know about that. I would like to, because you're jamming these songs in the room, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. It just kind of depends. Like, we sit on a lot of our songs for a decent amount of time before we release them. So when I'm just practicing them at home, or if we're jamming them, whatever it may be, I'll start to come up with like maybe a new part for a certain part and stuff like that. So it's just a little bit of a process of Chad and I kind of going back and forth and finding what like that perfect blend is. So
okay, that's cool though. I like it. All right, then we go. I just have a 2023 release date on Death Wish.
Yes. Yep.
And that, are you still incubating here, buddy?
So,
or what?
I was in, but I didn't help write that one.
Okay.
That's when, Tyler was in the band, but right before we had that song for a while. We actually played that live a year before it actually came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now with you coming into the band, is this because of Chad's departure from the band then?
Yeah. So Chad, like I said, he's still basically our background fifth member.
Gotcha.
Record with him, he'll bounce off ideas. This is where he wanted to be full-time with his band Engrave.
Okay.
So we kind of knew, we chit-chatted about it, but once we dropped Blind Eyes, we had the music video, he kind of made that tough decision. I was actually in Costa Rica for work, and I got this long text, and we love the guy, but still really good, close friends, still make music together. So it was like a bummer, it's like almost like a breakup. It's like, you've been with us from the start. What do you mean? But it just didn't make sense because we really wanted to keep pushing and play, and he wanted to take a step back, work more on writing, production, and playing Engrave. So that's where, oddly enough, Tyler knew about us from Billy and I's pop punk band way back in 2010. So
because we all grew up in small towns, 10 minutes from each other.
So that's when we were kind of talking with Tyler before Chad officially was leaving.
It was October 21, I think.
Yeah.
When the first time you guys asked me
about getting together. So we
it was
were
a process, huh?
Yeah, we were kind of chit-chatting about it, but then it was like
timing. I had just started a new job too at the time, and I was like, I don't know if I can get away from this shit for a little bit. But and then and then I know they were busy and took a break for the holidays, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
And then I was starting a new job, and then we just couldn't get like schedules lined up at the time.
Okay. Gotcha.
And then once Chad decided to fully step away from being a live member and playing shows and, really being in the forefront, that's when we were like, perfect time, like, hey, Tyler, are you still interested? And I'm pretty sure the exact message was, hell yeah, dude. So,
absolutely.
So, Tyler, you've always liked heavy stuff? You've always played? Or
always. Yeah.
In any other bands before Splinters then?
Not too much. Like, I had some buddies that we were working on stuff, and we had been jamming for a couple of years, but we actually had a hard time finding vocals, pretty much, and that's the main reason why we kind of got held back on some shit. But, just jamming with them, pretty much, and then, writing stuff in my bedroom just randomly. But been playing for quite a long time now. Self-taught, all that bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
So, was it a good fit because you're like, hey, I'm already kind of writing this stuff, or was it an adjustment period where you're like, I kind of got to adjust to what Chad was doing because he was such an integral part of what they're doing?
The style itself, like all the like low chuggy stuff, that's usually what I was doing. But when it came to like the little nuances that Chad does, that got taken a little bit getting used to. Just because I played I was actually real big into like just straight death metal for a long time.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I saw the death shirt. I was like, shit, I should have worn mine. But so I played a lot of like old school death metals kind of stuff all the time, and so that was a little bit of a transition. And I always played like deathcore stuff and like OG deathcore stuff and like old Chelsea Grin and shit like that. Yeah. So it was definitely, and I listened to a little bit of hardcore, but nothing like too crazy till these guys got me more into it. And so it's definitely there was a learning curve at first, but it definitely got like used to it.
Yeah. And that's another thing I've noticed about your guys' music, where it's like there's some hardcore influence,
right?
But you're not two-step in every song. There might be a song with a two-step or a song with kind of a more hardcore like chordy part. You know what I mean?
Right,
like on the A or something, or whatever. You probably play 7 or 8 strings.
I do 6-string baritones.
Oh no shit! Yeah. God damn, that's heavy, bro. My man. What are you tuned to? A?
My guitar is just straight up and drop G. And I have it tuned kind of weird because he wrote everything on an 8-string.
I did. Yeah. So I was an 8-string.
So my guitar's tuned kind of weird, and then we just use the Digitrack drop to drop it the rest of the way.
Man, I don't know how y'all do that. I've never mastered my 6 strings I have. So
my first time with the 8-string, I felt like a child picking up a guitar because the
Right.
neck is just so much bigger. I'm
That's
like,
that's
I
why I
can't
like
move that far.
that's why I like baritone. That's why I like the baritone sixes.
It sounds great,
Yeah.
dude.
The thing I like about baritone sixes is you can get an actual full chord out of it, whereas on a
right.
7 you have to like tune that high string to the same as the other.
Yeah.
Then what's the point?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like so, and you can't really. I don't think there are 7-string chords. I'm like, is there a 7-string chord that can
Right,
form? Like,
right.
like you
Yeah.
can't. I don't know if you can even bar that. You know, so I
It's
think you can. It lends itself more to a musician's a friendly like fretboard for
Yeah,
musicians.
absolutely.
Like, and why would I want to play a 7 when I could just have a baritone 6? That's my
Right.
that's
Yeah.
my opinion of it. But I know those 7s are pretty sleek.
Yeah.
Like now, like you can get.
Yeah,
can
I've had
shred
a
on
couple.
those.
I've had a couple 7s. Like I know I played one live for a little bit
Right.
before, and then I finally got the baritones that I like. I'm like,
Okay.
yeah. And to me, I'm like, man, I'm doing caveman riffs. I don't need all the. I don't need all that
Right.
extra stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got oh, what the fuck just happened?
Why is the Death Wish not on the Bandcamp?
Yeah.
I'm mad.
That's this guy.
That's
I was
going to
just
change tonight.
Yeah, because I was just looking at this and I was
I
like,
didn't know it was not on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he said Death Wish. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
but that features Ghost in Motion, right?
Ghost Emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were actually at the show that we had last night with Annex Void,
Okay.
Dying Under the Influence, Atwater, and Feast for the Crows.
Yeah.
And Ghost showed up, and we're like, yes, come do the song with us. Because
Hell yeah.
anytime we play with them or in the area or they're around, we always welcome them up to come do that feature because it's one of
So much fun.
my favorite songs, and I think it brings in a different element too. There's like scratching on a DJ board, you
Okay.
know, like it's another different element. I think it's one
Yeah.
of the ones too where we drop tempos a couple of times in that song, and it's kind of like
Noticed
you
that.
mentioned. There's a 2-step, there's like a bouncy breakdown, and then there's
Yeah.
the low and slow. It's like I feel like all the elements that make Splinters into one song.
Yeah, sometimes I'll like look things up and online or whatever, and then there was like a new metal was attached to your name somewhere a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I kind of hear that a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
but new metal's so tough because
Right.
it's just one of those subgenres that does span so much. So I
Right.
can hear some of that like bounciness in there, but it's not like sometimes when you think of new metal, you're just like, oh, Limp Bizkit fucking rapping.
Yeah.
Like,
Right,
you know what I mean?
right,
Like, and it's like,
right.
nah, that isn't anything
Yeah.
that's going on here.
Right.
But new metal's a weird term, but
Yeah, new metal is a very expansive term. A lot of bands fit into
Yeah.
that, but for me, it's just Mudvayne. Like,
Right.
it's,
And for me, it's Slipknot.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and then
Yeah.
other
And for
people,
me,
it's
it's
Corn.
Korn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Korn was always.
I would also say Snot too.
Yeah,
like,
Snot,
Sure.
definitely.
but they're like
Yeah.
more punk, so it's
Right.
it's a weird genre. It's like, what do you call this? It's not metal, but
And I think that new metal core label we like got put on us
Mhm.
because similar to the new metal genre, we're all over the place
Right.
in our
Sure.
music. So
yeah.
that's fair.
people always ask, "What are you?" And we're like, "We don't know. What do you think?" At
It's like
that
those
point.
Yeah,
pitch,
'cause
those pitch shifty parts that like
Yep.
on all that stuff. There,
We're just bastard children of metal. That's
Yeah, right.
we like it all. You add it all in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, so Death Wish, and then we move on to July 2024. So when was Death Wish? Because I don't see it here on the Bandcamp,
got
obviously. So I don't-
2023 is what I'm looking
yeah,
at.
that's all I
Yeah.
have is
Yeah.
2023.
November,
so-
I think.
Yeah, it was November.
Okay,
It was
so late
November.
2023.
Yep.
And then it's Rot just came out in July. Then this
Yeah.
last July.
Yep. This past July.
Which is almost a year ago already, which is fucking
Crazy.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like 2024 August, yeah, or July. And then you had the feature Barefaced on there. What was the idea behind Barefaced? And
Yeah, I think.
Sorry.
No problem. So, Rot, I actually was a voice memo song. I came up with that little. I'd say that's our most hardcore song with a definitive 2-step. It's
Yeah.
more riffy, more like in your face, heavy.
Yep, for sure.
It's definitely my favorite song.
Yeah, I
stood out to me too.
I had that part, and Barefaced, we met them playing a Halloween show in 2023
Yeah.
in Port Huron, and fell in love with them. They are Flint hardcore through and through, like in your
Homies.
face, awesome dudes. And when I wrote the song, I actually went to Chad's. These two didn't go. I'm like, this is my baby. I need to figure this song out. So we went over, kind of put it together. And as we did it, I could not hear anyone else on that part of the song. I couldn't even put myself in that part, you know? I just knew that part just seemed like it would fit Chris from Bareface so well. And I mean, he killed it on that feature, like exactly what I had in my mind.
So with this single, this still Tyler, you didn't bring anything to the table? On
I told him, I'm like,
here.
fuck you guys, I need this.
This one's mine.
Yeah. That one's a banger though too.
Yeah.
You did a
Thank you.
great job with it. I mean, the art is awesome for it too. Love it. Just kind of the brutal like death metal almost art looking on it or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that song, and this is where I really see, like, I started to see it, but like even the production and everything is just so much more intense. Like there's this volume level of when rock comes in and just blasts you. Like, holy shit, this is super impactful. Like everything's coming together for you guys, I feel, at this point. So
Awesome.
You know, for I would say, you know, whatever, maybe 3 years, I guess, right? You're really hitting your stride right here, I think. You know.
And it felt like it was really coming together because even though Tyler didn't write on that song, we have we were coming together. We played together. You know, we're bonding, and it's really helping us with the music after that.
All right. So then we move on. So that was July. Then August, you came out with Grief, right? Tell me a little bit about that. Now, Tyler, do you have anything to do with this song?
No.
A little bit.
Now,
This was part of the two, because he had 2 songs that him and Chad were working on.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're
Grief
just
was a part of it. We worked on these together. Actually, Grief had a different name. What was it? Never End?
That sounds familiar.
Never ending, yeah.
Yeah, Never Ending. We wrote that with Chad in 2023. So Billy was a part of that one.
Yeah.
okay.
But these, like I said, Billy said earlier, we sit on songs. We had all these songs. We have 2 songs from 2022 that we're getting ready to start revamping and stuff. So not to say that we're not writing new stuff at the same time. It's just at that time we didn't have the idea worked out well. And so now that we've been established, we feel really confident together. We bonded. We know like how we're going to play, and I can hear some and be like, oh, Tyler's going to take this over and be awesome with it. So, Grief was one of those older ones we wrote with Chad around the Blind Eyes Death Wish. It almost was like going to be a own separate EP because we had the Undesired and then we had Inhibited. That could have went either way, but then that's where touch base earlier. We just had to keep pumping out these singles to stay relevant and keep people interested in us at the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to ask you too when I'm looking at the Bandcamp. Is there a reason why it's like you have the Splinters logo, but it's almost like Splinters is a little different on almost all Is there a reason why, or no particular reason why?
No particular reason. We liked, as we're evolving our sound, that's where we're kind of doing the different logos here and there, because it's like, this song's a little different than what we've been doing. It's still our logo, but with a slight change. Or if, like you see in Rot, it's like a deathcore-ish
right, yeah,
logo,
and that's kind of what I was wondering. Then you went back to it on Grief, and then like 1958, like it's barely recognizable. That's like a death metal logo.
Yep.
Yeah.
That must have been all Tyler right there.
It was.
It really was. It really was.
He's like, give me something that I can't read, dude.
I hit up an artist to do one of shirt designs, and he was like, "Hey, when he does the shirt designs, he just makes a new logo in his style." And he was like, "I can do that too." And I was like, "Yeah, do it all." I was like, "Fuck it, let's go."
So that's cool.
Yeah, and we liked it. And we've never been one to be like, this is us and we're always going to be here. We like evolving. We like changing it up. We like, some band, the identity, yes, is in the logo, but we still want to be recognized even if we do change up the logo. It's still like our main logo, we call it, with the nail through it.
Yeah.
But we're not scared to mess around with other stuff and do stuff a little different.
That's sweet, dude.
I think it's cool because you have, like you said, your main one, and then you can just kind of play with it as you go, either per track or for this run of T-shirts, I want to do a death metal logo,
right?
Because I want the death metal fans to want to buy it too,
right.
Exactly. And I think we pull so many fans also from different, genres, and I think that's where they come in. And to your point, oh, I love that logo. I'm going to buy that shirt just because of that logo,
right?
Right.
Exactly. Okay, so then we move on. So that was August 2024, and then December 1958 comes out, and that features somebody as well. So is there a reason why we're featuring people on here? Is there like a thought behind it?
Not necessarily a thought in my point of view. It's just like, hey, this song would be great for this person. And I've always liked collaborative songs with other people. I think, we focused a lot with Michigan bands. Like, we love our friends. We love their bands. We want to help bring them into our song. You never know. You cross, different genres. They get to go check out them. And then they see, oh, we have a song with this band too. And then you're sharing fans almost at that point. And it's just, I always loved features, like the Mitch Luker show, the ceremony, having all those different vocalists come in, do their own thing. And I just always wanted our music to feature people too, because it's like, I can't see me doing that part, but this person would sound awesome on it.
How do you perform it live then? Give it your best shot?
I still do it. Yeah, because I can still do that, right? Like any of our features, it's open to the people that are actually on it. But sometimes we'll have like a guest vocalist on a bill that we're playing with. They're like, hey, can we hop on? I love this song. Can I do it with you live?
Right.
And if, I'm feeling, I'm like, yeah, come up. But I'll take it over too.
Yeah.
That way. And I like it too because I'll still do it in my own style, but it still challenges me to try stuff, and kind of mess around with my own vocal techniques and all that.
And you do have your own style. You kind of sound like you, and that's what I like about the vocal too. I can tell when you're singing, and I can tell when the other person's singing.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
You don't necessarily try to you do have good vocal range, but you don't try to do all these pterodactyl noises and all this fucking toilet bullshit.
I can appreciate that stuff, but I always like to keep it just like I like highs, I like lows. I do kind of like a tunnely
like
type
mid range.
Yeah, and I'm impressed by all the vocal Olympics, but at the same time, that was never something I was super into.
Set out to. Yeah, I think you get your point across, and I think it helps a lot of times for enunciation too, because if you're just toilet bowling, I don't know, you're not saying words.
Right.
Don't tell me you are, because there's not a word to be heard in there. There's syllables, and it's just like
It's like the waking cadaver meme with the shredded wheat. It's not what he's saying, but
hey, that's what he thinks he's saying.
Right.
So, but yeah, that was a cool ass song. I really like that too. And then the newest single that just came out, "Broken," that came out February, so 2 months ago now. Now, did you write some shit on this?
Yeah, 1958. And
Here we
Broken.
go. He's hatched.
Yeah.
He's hatched.
He's fully in. He's fully in.
Broken, we actually wrote before 1958. We actually, I think we started writing that before even Rot and
we
Grief
started
came out.
Broken before Rot and Grief. We all went to Chad's.
Yeah, Broken was the first song that I was involved in writing. And then when we finished 1958, we're like, fuck.
Yeah,
we really like this one.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'd be like that too.
That's why we dropped that one first.
Yeah. Well, I think Broken was probably, to me, it shows the full maturation of where you guys are at, production wise.
It was a lot of fun.
Music wise, I think it's powerful as shit. Like I was like, whoa, hang on to this, and it's great, man. You guys did great work with that.
Thank
very good job with that. And in 1958, I liked you guys had that little sample in there.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah.
Now, I thought for a second maybe that was from The Dark Knight, but then I thought I don't think it is entirely. So what is that sample from?
That's from No Country for Old Men.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I couldn't think of too many movies with like a prominent coin scene. I have seen that movie, but it's been some years now.
Yeah, that was like the first thing I thought, because I love that movie, and that was like the first thing I thought of, because we wrote the middle part of it first.
Yeah,
the song.
it was weird.
And we're like, oh, let's just start it with a nasty ass breakdown, and we're like, well, fuck, how are we gonna connect that? And I'm like, let's try that.
And it worked because I loved that back in the day, like the early 2000s, 2010s, like all the deathcore, hardcore they were putting in, like show samples and stuff like that.
I love it.
Yeah, me too.
It's like a little homage to that. And then Chad was like, I remember wanting to put in a sample back. One of the songs, I forget what song. He's like, "Fuck no!"
And I didn't know. Chad didn't like that, so I was like, "Yeah, let's do that."
Yeah, and Chad like kind of turns and looks at us and was like, but he loved the idea. After it came out, he's like, "This is awesome."
Yeah.
Once we put it together,
I love it, either between songs or to start a song or right in the middle of the song where you can kind of like focus on it.
Yeah.
I'm a huge movie buff. I've worked at Family Video, and before that, I was a huge movie buff. I loved movies, and so anytime I hear one, like a clip, I'm like, what movie they get that from? Like,
I'm the same way because I love movies,
Yeah.
and my fiance makes fun of me all the time. She's like, he knows every fucking movie.
Yeah. I get
So,
hyper fixated on quotes like that. I'm like, nah, I got to figure it out. I'm not gonna forget. I was just waiting till we get to 1958 the whole time. Like, when are we gonna talk about 1958?
Well, I'm interested. Could you tell me a little bit kind of what that's about as far as just like the title? Like, where did that stem from?
It's actually in the song, the flip the coin. Do you know what date is on this coin? And it's 1958.
Oh, okay.
So that's where it kind of went. But like the lyrical content's like kind of life's a game that you got to play. You can kind of go one side or the other. It's like, which side do you want to go about that route?
I like that.
Yeah, and with No Country for Old Men, he is the decider of life.
Yeah,
so that's kind of like the word
He
play
leaves it
around
up to chance the whole time.
Yeah, like you have a chance, but the chance is you can say it's fate, but he's the dealer of your fate. So,
okay, I love that. Yeah, that was cool. I love the sample on it. Pissed as fuck song, and then like at the beginning, there's like that riff, and you're like, wow, wow, wow. I'm like, that's fucking sweet, dude.
There's,
Like,
there's a little bit of that Thal fucking like Humanity's Last Breath kind of style that we were like, let's try it.
Yeah, wow, wow. I was like, that's cool as fuck. And then like in that song too, there was like the bass and drum breakdown. Like that was another thing that you guys don't really have that in any other of your songs, where it kind of pulls a little bit from the hardcore aspect, but when the bass and drums are just driving, like, you know, just another little treat that you guys give in there or whatever. So, but yeah, so that kind of brings us through what you guys did. So where are we at now as far as like writing process, and how does Billy come in? Has your role changed then, Billy, on some of the newer stuff, or?
Yeah and no. I mean, when we went and wrote Broken all together, I was just air drumming and like making the noises with my mouth, and Chad would just go in and punch them in. So, just still pretty much just doing what I can for some of the mixes and stuff like that. But for just future writing, I think that's pretty much the big plan, is when we write with Chad, he just punches everything in, and I don't have to try to figure out how to get my MIDI to work on a Windows computer. So, because I do a lot of streaming with my E-kit, and it works, but whenever I try sending that MIDI file, it's just
doesn't work.
Yeah, it goes
So there would be
downhill.
like I would say most of it there. But it's weird because we've tried to figure it out. We're like, is this kid old? Like, what's going on?
Right,
But we'll really hammer out some ideas too. Like, we'll have a concept demo, and then we'll jam it together too, and just like really work it out. Or like Billy said, when we go to write, Chad just helps glue. He knows the aspects of it, and then that's what I think a big driving force is. What Splinters is how well we connected, and he'll send me a drum part from his stream, and then I'll be like, oh, I can write a riff over that. So it's like we kind of have the idea of what the other one is gonna do. Might not be fully there, but we have a good enough idea to where it's like, okay, this is how it's gonna work out.
Yeah.
So you got the E-kit. I'm wondering, is there an acoustic kit involved, like in a band practice situation? So you got the two things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we practice, that's when I use my acoustic kit and everything. But yeah, the E-kit's just pretty much just for me streaming and trying to record drum parts, because I have sent Tyler some and sent Nick some, or sent Chad some. It's just anything MIDI file starts to scare me. So
That's where I talked about it earlier. I was all mic stuff, mic drums when I was recording later, and now with all the electronic stuff, I'm like, all right, Chad, thank you for taking this over. But Casey's a big part of that too now.
Yeah.
Our bassist.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, that's that's the nice thing about the technology now, is you don't really need to know how to mic a drum kit perfectly and get all the tones and make sure all the heads are changed or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm still a sucker for the live drum myself, but you can't even
yeah.
really tell. I just thought the only time I mentioned the first two demo songs, it was really heavy, like
You can tell.
E-kit sounded
Yeah.
almost like the cymbals were kind of just like, but then by the time I thought it was all real drums after that. So, I mean, you did what you needed to do, and I mean, he's playing the parts, he's playing them live and shit.
Right,
so
right.
yeah.
And
So
It's not like we would be opposed to doing like an acoustic kit mic'd up and everything. It just saves so much money.
Yeah. And I think that's
and everything too.
right. That's a big driving factor. It's like we like putting it into the production. We like doing the music videos. We like getting gear for our live shows, making sure with merch. And I mean, not to say we couldn't go and record, but like Billy said, it's just so expensive now because
how much difference is it gonna make?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like the drums that you have on wax right now sound fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's just you got a pretty good mix of drums right now with the E-kit or the programming or whatever. So like, is it worth the time and the money to sit there and record acoustic drums? If what you're doing works, then why change it? Especially for $1,000 or more, like maybe more. Like how much money you guys would be saving? I just say save it and put it into your merch or your videos because like the drum sound right now is fine.
Yeah. Like I said, as long as you guys are getting together, jamming into the room, and you kind of know what you're doing, but it also makes it easier too because I don't have to sit here and fucking wait for you to record the drums all day. I just fucking punch it in and move it to the grid and say, hey, that sounds good, man. Just
Yeah.
So how often are you guys getting together in a room to jam?
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we actually had practice because we're like doing so much on the weekends, and then this guy's getting married later this year. So
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
it's like those free weekends we do have our shows, but we've been so tight with our set list now. We're changing everything up going forward, but to finish out this year, or I'd say late spring, we're gonna really just be practicing, writing, and focusing on new stuff. So I'd say roughly once a month.
Oh, okay.
We're getting together to practice.
Everything else is practice on your own, file sharing, all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And our set list hasn't really changed much, so we feel so tight with it now too, to where it's like, let's not force it. We're staying clean with it. These two being so close get together sometimes without me.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's good. That's cool.
Yeah. Even there was a couple times Billy went to do his stream. He's like, "Hey, you want to run through the songs?" I was like, "Yeah." so I'll just play to myself at home while watching his stream.
Okay.
And then we'll just do it like that. We've done it like that before.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's badass.
Technology.
You guys are at least playing live enough to where it's not like you're going weeks and weeks without touching the instrument.
Right.
Like, like Jay said.
And we still practice on our own on
Yeah.
top of it. So it's nice to just practicing to the masters, and we have all of it set to the masters anyway.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps.
Yeah, it's
Very
me
nice.
driving around just screaming my own songs half the time. Getting weird looks at stop signs. And people like, what is going on with this guy?
One of my top played artists on my Apple Music this year was us.
Just to keep practicing.
Just because I sit there and just play to them.
Yeah.
It's that, and also, man, when you're making music, it's like make music that you want to play, that you want to hear.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you're making. At the end of the day, it's kind of for yourself anyway. If other people enjoy it, that's just extra credit.
Absolutely.
So, I was going to ask how that kind of worked because you said they were an hour away. So that must mean you get over there when you can, or you got a jam spot, Billy, or something at your place then?
Yep,
Yeah.
right in the garage.
Cool.
So it's nice. And my PA's up there. He just has to go down the road. So we're pretty much all right there with it. So I make it a point because an hour's not too bad for me. And
It's about as much as I do.
yeah.
Like that's enough.
Oh yeah, and I'll schedule other stuff too. Like, hey guys, we got a couple hours to jam. Let's do that, and then I got other shit to go to.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
it kind of works out that way.
It's funny though, because all the neighbors, you get a mix of everyone, and they're just like, "Oh, that sounds awesome!" Like they're all excited to listen, and it's just like the most heavy music he's ever heard.
Just pissed off the whole time.
Are we treating some of these band practices as also doubling up as a hangout session with other people? So do you have guests, or is it just you guys exclusively?
Yeah,
We have before, yeah.
Yeah, we've had some people, but for the most part, I'd say it's just us getting together, jamming. Might fuck around with a couple song ideas at that same time too, but just to make sure that we're good and set with everything. Because right now we're currently building up 3 different, I would say, set list. That way we can play a different set list, and change it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's good.
Kind of curate some of our songs for the type of shows that we want to play.
That's also good. Yeah, if you guys are playing as often as you are, and it seems like you're on a pretty regular clip with your performances, you'd probably want to have 2 to 3 sets so that the guys, if somebody comes out to see you,
they're like,
again,
this is the same thing we saw too.
Yeah,
like a month ago.
I just went and saw these guys recently here. If he dies, he dies, and they seem to like change up their set enough. And now they've got 3 full-length albums,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, and a couple of additional singles since then, so they can switch it up. But you know, I would hate to go out and see a show and then 2 months later see the same fucking show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's definitely something you want to nail down as a couple alternative
Yeah, and
sets.
I feel like we were starting to beat a dead horse with the current set list, and that's
Right.
why. And unfortunately, like I touched with our bassist no longer being able to attend like the live shows, it's perfect time for us to rebuild our set list, have the backtracks, and
Right.
because we want, to your point, we want to give a treat to somebody, but we're also toning down Michigan shows this year too.
That's smart.
I think we got one more next weekend at Parts and Labor in Melvindale, which we really wanted to get into. And
Yeah,
then,
that place looks fucking awesome.
oh, it
Yeah.
just looks so badass, and a lot of great bands come through. But outside of that, we're really pushing, outside states, and that way we want to have, when we come back to Michigan, special treats for people.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was you going
No,
to say something?
well, I was gonna question on the weekend jaunts. Are we like trying to find bands in other cities? Or are you just booking with venues, or how?
Yeah, kind of a mix of, we'll have a band that we know is from a certain area and reach out to them to get us on. But I'd say most of what we've been doing right now is working with promoters in their respectable areas. I'd say that's what we basically had planned out for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like a two-parted question. So on Broken, there's like the alarm clock guitar.
Oh yeah, yep.
But then you're doing like a like playing a. So and then I hear you say piping in the bass. So is this a click track,
Yes.
backing
Yeah.
track,
Yeah.
constant thing?
Yeah, that was the plan, is to get like the bass and stuff added to the backtracks in the meantime and stuff like that.
So what's the live rig like?
Right now, we have our in-ears. I use quad cortex.
Okay.
So everything's front of house, and we do mic up drums as well.
Okay.
And then bass was always Casey uses a Helix, and then we were actually in the process of moving just to run both of us out of my quad cortex, because you can have like 4 instruments on that thing, and that thing's nuts. But the plan is to get the bass added to the backtracks, stuff like that.
Yeah, because we're just running full click throughout the whole time. We
Yeah.
can hear the backtracks. I have a little bit of the guitar in my mix, and then I think these guys have like a lot of my vocals in their mix, because my vocals are in my mix, but I'm the one yelling them.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
I'm
You can
drowning.
hear 'em anyway, yeah.
Right. So yeah, we just run a click, and then we got a splitter for the different outputs.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just we do one session of backtrack.
Yeah.
So we hit play on that, and
We
we're
don't
running the
touch it.
whole way through.
Oh, even the
Yep.
pauses in between are
Yeah.
perfectly measured out.
Yep,
Do you
yep.
have like stuff playing in between then on the live set
Yep.
or whatever?
Yeah,
shit
like
that
some
kinda-
interludes, just
Yeah,
a
okay.
filler noise. That way I can
Gotcha.
get a drink or catch breath for
Yeah.
a second, or talk with the crowd, talk
Yeah,
to
it'll
the
give
venue.
us like social cues and shit like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
just
cool.
to like make sure we stay on time with it, because similar to you, was like traditional. I remember back in the day, I'll never do that, but the precedence is set to where I feel like if you want to get into this next level and really take music serious, you got to hop on that level,
Yep.
or you're going to be left out.
Yeah, for
all
sure.
day.
Yeah,
Like,
for
this,
sure.
this is the drum we beat every time
Yeah.
we have a
Yep.
band on. Like, just tell us how you do it live for the bands that are coming up, for the young guys that
Yeah.
want to do it. Like, we used to go out there and raw dog it.
Yeah.
Just drums, bass, guitar, vocals, and
Yeah,
that's
that-
it. You just like be
That's
tight.
That's what we were doing when we.
Yeah,
when
that's how we
I
started.
when I joined too.
Yeah,
is
but
we were
I-
just raw dogging it.
And I feel like, to your point, like if you want to get on the better venues, the bigger
Mm-hmm.
shows, the bigger audiences, and you want to be professional and you want to get signed or you want to tour, you got to do that. You got to bring, you got to have the whole thing dialed in on a grid. Like Rip Van Ripper was on here, like we got the whole thing
Yep.
from start to finish.
Yep.
Dialed in on the grid.
Yep.
We know every second, every cadence, everything that's going to be said, spoken, or played. Like we already know that, and that's how professional and seriously you look. You can have all the fun you want, but that's how seriously you want to take the music that you're doing. If you guys are setting aside all this personal time to practice and travel and write and record and do all those things, when you get up on the stage, You want to maximize every second of being on that stage because it's only like a 30-minute window.
Yeah.
Right.
And other bands got to break down and tear down and then get set up. So you want to make sure that you're getting the whole set list out of you and knowing that, hey, this is what it is. Now, have you had any problems? Have you had to cut anything when you're in that box? You're in that grid and you're like, okay, you just like fast forward?
Yeah.
A couple of button pushes?
So far, no. I don't
Yeah,
think we
no,
have.
there was one.
just
Our
this
last
weekend.
show with
Yeah.
Six Deep was in Akron, Ohio, and Bill was a song ahead. He thought we did Grief, and so he paused it. And I'm like, we still got Rod. Like Rod's our closer because it's just such
I think
a.
you heard him
Yeah,
say
I-
something about us playing a cover.
Yeah, I thought Nick was saying, you want to play break stuff?
Yeah,
And
'cause-
so I went down and paused the backtracks, and I'm like, wait, we still have one more song. I'm like, I don't think he just asked me to play break stuff. So I hurry up and had to play it again.
But luckily, there's like the filler line because that's our last song. So there's enough time for me to kind of spitball because we have everything planned out, but each show's different. So, they're shouting out the venues, the bands we're playing, sponsors, stuff like that. And I have no problem with any of the bands that do it DIY, just run it, like you said, raw dogging it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Like
you
Heavy
know?
Hitter, like the show we played, Heavy Hitter, they don't use any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And they
Right.
are
Yeah.
tight as fuck.
But
Yeah.
I think to your point too, like it depends on how serious you want to take it. So if you're not like kind of doing what the industry standard is with these other touring bands or bigger shows,
Yeah.
it's not going to work out because that was a big thing. We played Upheaval last year.
I was
in
there. I
Grand
saw you
Rapids.
guys.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was on the
And-
hill.
Oh yeah. So it was awesome because like they prefer those big stages.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
they're running,
Yep.
and I mean you get a really phenomenal sound, and still with mic cabs and stuff like that. But I think it really sets a difference, like a precedence of like how serious you want to be, and it's unfortunate, for the bands that don't want to do that, but that's what everyone else is doing and
Right.
what the venues want.
Yeah.
So
So my only pushback on it is like we had Bronson Arm on last week. They never in sight will they do that because it's
Yeah.
just two dudes and
Yeah.
he just brings this massive amp and whatever because he has
Right.
to hear it. I just say the only downfall is that is like when you have all these things, you got the laptop. Is that what you got back there, Billy? The laptop? Is that what you're
Yeah.
playing through? Okay, cool. Two things. One, hopefully the shit don't crash, right?
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Because you still want to be able to jam, or else you don't have. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Charged and updated.
Yeah.
Charged and updated.
but the other thing is like, what happens if you play a basement show with a shitty PA? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? That's
We've had 'em.
We've had 'em.
Yeah, we've had them.
it's
so,
kind of like then your sound is going to be all fucked because it's almost like those are perfect if you're playing 20 Monroe, Intersection, or
Right.
some
Yeah.
Battle Creek, Music Factory, some of these bigger venues that can handle that. But if you go play a place like Mulligan's or something like that, where it's just
Yeah.
like their PA
Coin
doesn't,
flip,
yeah,
yeah.
because we played with Heartsick there, and it was just like they didn't come across because they have the Kempers and all that shit. And it was just they were relying on the PA, and at that time, I don't know if they upgraded it because Will was here from He Who Dwells. He does sound
yeah,
there or
yeah.
whatever, but he was saying they're updating stuff, but like unless you have that great PA, it's going to be kind of hard to translate. Do you find that's an issue then if you're playing a basement show or what?
Yeah, we've kind of had that, but since we did start off raw dogging, we also had the capability, like, hey, this isn't working, toss the live rig out. Tyler, bust out a cab for tonight. We can still do that.
Oh, okay,
It might
so
be
you can
a little
pivot at least.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, that's good.
So we might not have all the nuances and background tracks, but I think our music, because we played it without it for a while, and I think our music still translates really
Right.
well without the crazy guitars and other sound bass drops and like
right,
stuff.
right.
So we, like growing up, never played to a click, never played to
Yeah.
a metronome, never
Yeah.
did. We just played,
Yeah.
Drummer sets the tone, just follow him. It's
Yeah.
Billy's leads, but we're easily adaptable, I'd say. So in case that does happen, we can still perform. It's not like, oh, we got to cancel the show because we can still run it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Is you got to be able to pivot because you're
Right.
going to
Yeah.
run into those instances where the laptop just isn't going to cut it.
Right.
Like,
Right.
It's just not going to be the thing.
Right.
It's like a
Yeah.
basement show, fucking garage show, whatever. It's like
Yep.
we got these 215s. It's like
Yeah.
I can't do
Yeah.
anything with that.
Right, no, they got 2 channels for 2 vocalists.
Yeah.
You better not have 3.
No, I 100% agree with Jay, and that's where we come from. But now I think that's the backup plan.
Yeah.
Now I think you want to
Yeah,
be
for
able
sure.
to go without the click and the in-ears and all of that. Just cabs and you playing your instruments together as a group, like almost like a glorified band practice.
Yeah.
But the expectation now, the industry standard, if you will, as Nick put it, is to go on there with those things. You want to have the backdrop or the backing track. You want to have the bass drop and, you know, the samples, like, and any extra instrumentation, keyboards or horns or brass, anything like that. Like, you want that to come through live. And I, as a listener, guarantee you, I want that. I expect that. That is fully what I'm here for. Not like 75% of what I'm hearing on the album, but 100% of it.
Right.
And so if you can do that, like that's the thing. If you're a band that doesn't use these things, then don't worry about it.
Right.
Like, maybe
Yeah,
just have the click track at the bare minimum, right?
Yeah.
Like so you can keep time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Or just practice so much that you're on with Billy.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
And I know a few bands that just run a click for the drummer. Everyone else doesn't need their ears.
Yeah.
It's just a drummer stand.
Yeah, 'cause you're
they
all
make
just
it
following
work
them anyway.
too. Yeah.
I think that should be priority with everybody, honestly,
Right.
because you don't want to come out one time and play your song and it's 32 seconds shorter because your
Right.
drummer's playing all fucking fast.
Right,
and shit.
right.
Like, you know, like I agree with you 100%,
Yeah.
man. I just, like I said, I've been in those situations too, but you know, I've seen other bands, their laptop quits or that song gets off grid or something, then
Right.
they just have to like totally shut down and can't play the song. I'm like,
Yeah.
you got to be able to at least like
Oh,
pivot
yeah.
out of that and be like, okay,
Yeah.
laptop's not working, screw that.
Right.
1, 2, 3, fucking let's jam. You know,
Yeah.
like because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, you got to still be able to jam. You know, I mean,
And I think that's what the nice thing about our rig is. It's just a splitter. We're just inputting. So the tracks is just one part of it. We can still have the vocals. We can still have it. And if that's the case where they need to direct line into front of house, we can still do that since he's running his quad Cortex. So,
Yeah.
but if we need to, we still got amps. We can go, you know, quote unquote old fashioned style.
yeah,
'cause
that's cool as fuck, man.
yeah.
I would still do everything that you're doing, but for me, I gotta have the cabs on stage.
It is,
Yeah.
especially as a 3-piece. I'm like, where the hell am I running all over to?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, especially without our bassist taking time away right now. It's like I have
so much room.
much room.
Yeah.
So much room.
Well, we had Bronson Arm on here now. Blake runs the full stack, you know, and so you can get that
just
feedback
monster.
and everything. And I'm like, I just want to feel it in my chest, and I don't think you get that when you don't have the cabs. You gotta have the cabs in my world. I wouldn't go on stage without cabs, but as long as you feel good about it and you can throw down and the audience hears it, it's fine. I'm not here to change the way anybody does anything. Just for me personally, I gotta have cabs.
I do love both.
Yeah,
have both if you can.
It's
Like,
it's definitely fun. Like, it is nice not to have to carry shit.
yeah. Load in, load out. I mean,
That's
Hey,
super big win for me. If
Yeah.
I could do that, I would definitely do that.
Yeah.
because
because-
I think we were set up in 8 minutes last night for a show,
Fuck
just because
yeah,
it's
dude.
just so nice
Fuck
just to
yeah.
pop it out, and
Yeah.
you know, shows overrun sometimes,
Yeah,
or you know, get postponed. So we just want to make it super easy, but then also have the ability to go back to it, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I think load-in times with some of these local bands got to improve. Some of the shows I've gone to in the last year, I was like, man, especially the more you have, like,
Yeah.
because you got to load up, and that's only part of it. And the sound guy's got to check everything,
Yeah.
and depending on what his crew is, if it's only one person,
Yeah.
then it's like it just takes up all this time. And
And if you're playing at a place that starts music at like 9:00, then
Oh, God.
you know
Yeah.
you're running over, and some
Three-
bands aren't playing till
Yeah.
midnight.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we had a band that just ran over like 15 minutes a couple shows ago, and then like we played our spot, and we like have a few songs. Like if people want to hear another one, and we know if we're in a 30-minute set, our set list runs like 25 minutes, so we still have time for one of our songs, you
Yeah.
know. And the crowd was loving us, and their sound guys like, no,
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, we got
yeah,
asked for
yeah.
an encore, and we're like, oh, and they're like,
No. He was already turning
Yeah.
down everything, which
Yeah.
we understand. We want to respect the venue, and
Yeah.
I think you make a good point. I think some of the bands need to like, come on, it's not just you.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta.
Yeah, I don't know why we're still doing that at this. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
we've talked about this before on the show. 90% of my nerves come from fucking getting my shit on
Yeah.
stage real quick and getting it off. It has nothing to do with the show.
Right,
It's like
right.
I'm just trying to get the fuck out of the way or
Right.
get my
Right.
shit on there and
Yep.
hopefully it all works. That's where a lot of my nerves come from, not
Yeah.
the actual playing the music in front
Exactly.
of people.
Yeah.
Same exact way. It's like, oh, I gotta help him. I gotta make sure.
Yeah, yeah,
we don't
yeah.
want to rush it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing for me is, as I'm standing around waiting to play, like my load in has always been pretty simple because it's just bass, tuning pedal, cab. Like I'm loaded in pretty quick.
Yeah.
I'm generally. and I still seem to be like the last one loading out, but
Yeah.
which I have been guilty of. But like when I'm watching other bands, like, painstakingly like drag their feet to load out or even load in, I'm like they're cutting into our set time. I start to get like this attitude.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's all gonna come out on stage. I'm not gonna take it out on anybody.
Right.
But I get this internal attitude going like these guys are taking up way too much time.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
like,
it just fucks everybody on the whole show.
Yeah.
It fucks it. The sound guy wants when he's there to work most of the time. He's not there to check out your fucking band.
Right.
So he's like, bro, I gotta go home. Like I got a family.
Right.
I gotta maybe break these speakers down, shut the fuck up, and hurry up and get out.
Well, too, I like setting up as quick as we can in case something does go wrong.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
you're not cutting into your set trying to figure it out. You can get honed in, sounding good before all of that, and then be able to run with it.
You gotta have like a pre-setup operation. Like so many things can be set up so much. Like your head can be on top of your cab if you're bringing those things onto the stage, and could be all hooked up too.
Yeah.
All you got to do is put it on the stage and plug it in and turn it on. Done.
Put it in place.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes I'm just mind boggled by how long it takes
and
some
you see
bands.
some bands that finish playing and they're breaking their drums down on stage.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
oh,
like,
get,
get
get this shit
Yeah.
off.
Just-
No, we've learned that the hard
Yeah.
way too.
Yeah.
It's like my drummer, he has a ton of drums, so it's just like shuffle it out the door.
Yep.
Sorry, Adam, you're breaking it down in the rain on the sidewalk. I don't fucking care. It's out of here, dude. I don't. You had your chance. Bye.
Tuning, all that should be
Yeah.
done. Like
Yeah.
so many things should be done before you get on stage. Maximize everybody's time on stage.
Absolutely.
So Billy, how was your transition then? If you were just jamming and then the click is brought into it, especially if you're not recording a lot to a click, like how did that transition for you go?
Oh, it sucked.
Yeah.
He was not happy.
I've learned how to play drums from Rock Band, so trying to learn to a click was frustrating. And like one of our song, it doesn't even sound like the drums are like playing to the click, so trying to learn how to play to that and then go live. Oops. But doing all that was just a really hard period up until like I just pushed myself as hard as I could to want to learn it, to get better at it, and then eventually now I feel like I wouldn't want to go back to playing without a click. Like it's so much better, and it lets me know if I'm fucking up instead of, you know, thinking to myself when we're raw dogging it, am I fucking up? Am I playing too fast? Am I playing too slow? Like it's that nice gauge to keep me on pace. So
Yeah, I think that's very imperative. I think all drummers should do that, and every band should figure out how to do that. Even though my band hasn't figured out how to do that. I mean, my drummer plays pretty well with a click too. It's just like trying to get him to do that live or figure out a way to do that without this crazy investment. Because, and we'll get here, but like we're not like gonna go on tour or anything. We just want to play maybe one show a month, and then write some tunes because we're all older dudes and we just fucking jam. To jam,
right.
You know what I mean?
Jam
We
to
just
jam.
want to play heavy
Play
shit.
that fun.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah, like knowing that you're not going to tour, it kind of like, you know, like seems like is it that important?
Yeah, like
But-
what investment do I want to make?
Right.
Do I want to spend $3,000 on some in-ears and all this shit, and
Right.
laptop and all this? But yeah, I do want to play well. So that's
Right,
you know,
right.
you know, at the end of the day, I guess it's really about wanting to play well. You know, so. Well, shit. Let's talk a little bit about some shows. You guys said you played a show last night with the homies Annex Void.
Yep.
Where was that show at?
That was at Diesel,
Diesel.
Concert Lounge
Okay.
in
Was that out-
Chesterfield.
Chesterfield.
Towards you guys then?
Yeah, not too far. And we
Okay.
haven't been there in a while. One of our, I think, first bigger shows was there with Ghost Emotions debuting Death Wish.
My first show was there.
Yeah, with his first show. And so we.
It holds a special place to me.
After he was incubated, he's like,
Yeah.
Diesel
He's
Lounge.
born on stage.
Yeah, for real. So, and all those bands on there, like, were a big pivotal point in our start, like putting us on shows, really helping us. And, you know, we're in this tough time where we're like, we don't want to oversaturate Michigan. We think we've really done well here. And not to say we're not going to play any, you know, Michigan shows, but we're got to be a little choosy now because we're trying to keep taking those steps to really get our name out there. And next week, like I said, Parts and Labor was a huge place that we just want. I've been there to watch a show, and I fell in love and wanted to play a show.
Who played there when you seen?
What was that? It was, I want to say last year, I think.
Sissy Boys?
Yeah,
on
the
that?
Sissy Boys were on it. It
They're
wasn't
from here.
Yeah, that's I've been seeing the clips and watching.
Yeah.
I want to watch the full interview you did with them because they are phenomenal.
Yeah, they're. I mean, they take that punk rock attitude all the way.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
you know.
awesome. And I think that they were on that show. It had to have been last year. I didn't have time to go to a lot of shows, so this year and late last year, I was going to any show I could get out to because just with our schedule, it's nice taking a step back. But after that show, I think we got a little bit of a break. There's something that is in the works that isn't confirmed yet or isn't announced yet, so we got to see when that goes through. But we're heading over to North Carolina.
Oh, nice.
That one's not announced yet, but we're really excited for that one. We're going to be a headliner out over there.
Okay.
Brutal, just heavy. And then we got a show, Frankie's Toledo. Awesome venue. A lot of cool bands go through there. And then we're playing Midwest Death Fest in Toledo in August. So
it was Casket Robbery and
Waking the
those guys
Cadaver.
fucking rule.
Yeah.
Casket Robbery.
Yeah, we're on. I think we're day 2, right? Yeah, we're day 2 playing with Casket Robbery. So we're really excited for that.
Awesome. Yeah, so you got some shows coming up. Now, is touring a part of the Splinters universe? Is that something that may happen, or?
Yeah, and that's what we were kind of going with hopping out with 6 Deep in this last month, is to try and get our foot in the door, moving out and doing stuff like that. And that's why we're kind of focusing on more out of state shows, so that way we can start getting more get our name out to other places and have other places wanting us to come to their state and play shows there. And then that way we can, transition to, hopefully do a lot more tours.
Yeah.
So you guys are all set up for that. I know you're getting married, but you guys are all set up in life where you can just take off and go on tour if you want.
Yes, no. I mean, there is because we put all the money that comes in, we put right back into the band, into music, merch, and stuff like that. So we would have to, if we got something solidified to where, hey, you guys go out for 2 weeks on a tour, I think we'd have to work a little bit of that around. I think it's more just planning around there. Casey, our bassist, too, being the health issues, waiting on that. We definitely want to take this to the point where we feel secure and can, be able to tour and make some money and financial, but same time we all have family. It's that in between where
Anybody got
we still
kids?
got our jobs. No.
Any kids? No kids?
No
picking
kids.
for you? Well, that's
Man,
no
get
kids.
in the fucking van, bro.
right now.
I got dogs. I got dogs. That's all you're getting.
You'd be
Get
fine.
in the van, dude.
You can have somebody come over and feed the dogs. You can't have somebody come over and feed the kids, bro. That's not how it works. That's the biggest tie down, is having kids.
Yeah.
The second biggest would be a relationship, or you got to say to your significant other, I'm going to be on the road for 2 weeks, but you can still get away with that, especially if you're doing the I do ceremony. They should understand. They should know who they're marrying, right, Tyler? They should get
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
No, for real. If you got somebody that don't want you to go on tour, that could be hey, you don't know me as well as you think you do, because this is my whole life before you existed.
This is what all of this has been working up to.
Yeah. I know I go and do the 9 to 5 or whatever. I got a job, and that's the other thing too. Is the job. Is the job going to let you disappear for 2 weeks? Does everybody feel like their employer's friendly like that? They get it. They know who you are.
I actually had that back late last summer. I actually had that talk with my job. I'm like, hey. I was like, this might happen. I was like, is this going to be cool? And they're like, yeah, just use your PTO time. And if you have to use up once you're done after that point, we'll work something out.
Right.
So it was definitely nice to have that option.
Yeah. Some people,
that's cool.
Yeah. Some jobs
some
aren't
places
like that.
won't do that.
They're just if you're
all.
not here when we schedule you and you don't have PTO, you're fired.
Yeah.
You're basically running into points. And then once those points get to too many, you're done. And that's when you just start looking for a new job. And
that's a fuck that job anyway.
Shit. I mean, it might be good money, but you have to ask yourself, do I need money or do I need to live my one and only life?
Right.
And if that one and only life calls for you to be on the road, making music,
you only get one chance to do it, man.
Right.
Yeah, and you really if your idea is to get money doing this, it's not a good idea. You might might want to rethink some things, because
exactly. I think that's the point too. If we know we're gonna start hitting these longer tours outside of the 4-day, 3-day weekend runs, we can plan ahead for that to be in a point to where okay, if something goes wrong, we have the cash to get this up and going. The van goes out or we need something.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, you don't want to lose money doing this. that's another thing. You don't
Yeah,
want
it's
to
a tricky-
lose. You
it's a-
don't want to
yeah,
lose
it's a
money. You
fine
want to be able
balance.
to like hem in the margins and understand like this is how much it's going to cost and this is what
Right.
we got to sell. Like we got to hustle. You're traveling T-shirt salesman. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
really
Yeah.
you really are like you. I want the album, but you're selling T-shirts. You know what I mean? So you just have to be smart about your whole business model if you take it to that level. Like. To me, it's a little bit like, oh my God, my head's going to blow up because it's a lot to think about. It's already enough to think about writing, recording, producing, and kicking it out. And then you want to take it all the way to the level of touring, and you got gas money, and you got food and room and board, whatever it's going to be.
I think that's what's really nice with Casey being in here. He has toured in the past. He's been a part of touring bands, so he's given us a lot of insight, and it really sucks that our first actual, I would say our first weekend tour we did, he had to take the break away for the health stuff. So it's like, but it's definitely something we've learned from. And I think if we can plan ahead, like you said, just be ready for it because we got our toes wet, I would say. And now we're eager for it. And that's why we're doing some of these out of state festivals and getting out there that way. Because I know we got fans in different areas, but I think so many times we'll go out and play and people are like, we've never heard of you. Holy shit, you guys are awesome. You put on such a good live show. So just kind of making sure we are able to do it. And I think with 60, we were proved, to ourselves fuck yeah, we can definitely, let's start planning ahead for it.
Yeah.
So how long do you anticipate just being the three of you guys then? Do you kind of have a window or a timeline? Or
So that's the thing. He is in South Carolina right now living with his sister because if and when, it depends on what surgery he has, it could be debilitating for a lot longer than a couple months. So I believe Casey had a doctor's appointment. It was either last week or tomorrow, actually. And then we're going to kind of go from there.
See where you're at.
Yeah, because Casey, I mean, he loved the guy. He came in after Tyler. What?
January of 24.
Yeah, 24. So he's just over a year old in the band, and we mix so well together. And he also does all his own recording. Will mix and kind of mess around with stuff for us, and has a lot of songs that we're working on. But
he's got a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, a lot of knowledge.
So he's just a good asset to the band.
Yeah,
so
and he
it's
fits
hard
in,
to.
And the homie.
Yeah, it fits in so well.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
all have that similar,
Right.
personalities. So it's unsure right now how long we're going to be a three-piece, but like we talked about earlier, it's so hard trying to coordinate with other people, and we'd rather be self-reliant.
Especially while you're trying to keep up on shows and
Right.
doing the
Yeah.
thing, and on top of trying to get somebody back in to do it, even as a backup.
Yeah, he's
definitely
as a
tough.
stand-in.
Yeah.
So, what's your favorite part of doing music or just being in a band? We could start here and then just go around the table. And...
I think hanging out with my best friends, driving places, we get to just see each other frequently. But I think the biggest thing is just meeting people. And you listen to our songs, our lyrical content's deep mental health. I try to talk about a lot of mental health, a lot of tough issues, and to have people come up and be like, hey, you don't know how much this song means to me. And it's surreal feeling, to be able to be, oh, someone can relate to this. I'm happy this song has helped them in some type of way.
Right.
And just really meeting new people and seeing new places. It's just really, really cool. And experience it with your best friends. I mean, that's even better.
Oh, yeah. What about you, Billy?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say about the same thing, being with the homies and just making heavy tunes to watch other people beat each other up too.
That is the best.
Just the energy of playing live shows and seeing the response from the crowd and stuff like that is unbeatable. Upheaval.
Yeah.
It's so hard to beat that show now that we've played it, but just seeing that type of energy just makes me want more and to keep playing more shows so I can get that energy again. So
Yeah.
Nice.
And as he said, getting to hang out with these guys is always the best. But even the camaraderie with other bands and getting to go and see those guys all the time and do the thing that we love to do with those people that we are becoming such close friends with is nice. And then one of my favorite things is talking to fans after. It's so much fun. And you'll see people repeat offenders. Like they'll come see us like
Yeah.
over and over and over,
Right.
and getting to see them. And you're like, hey, what's up? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
how you
nice.
been? So that's always super cool. Like we had somebody from the Grand Rapids area at our show last night.
Nice.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
Chesterfield.
Drove
I'm
down
like,
to come
dude, you
see
drove
us.
like 3 hours.
We had
Oh, yeah.
somebody drive 5.5 hours from Indiana up to one
Yeah.
of our shows.
That's cool.
Yeah, for the the Hillsdale one.
yeah.
Hell yeah, that's badass. That's what I was going to commend you on too. Is for a while there was all these bands with the plural names, columns,
Oh yeah.
visions, ceilings,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck. There's like a million of them. But like for me and your lyrical content, Splinters is perfect because it's like
Right.
kind of like you're broken into splinters. That's kind of like the way I
Yeah.
took it from it, you know.
Absolutely.
And then like with your lyrical content, I think that like your band name like fits what you're doing
Yeah,
perfectly.
it's
so.
nitty, it's gritty, it's
Yeah.
painful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Motivating
but-
little splinter.
Yeah.
But we're also Nick and I listen to a lot of bands on this show, talk about a lot of bands on this show. We call it the water cooler effect. Like you're like, hey dude, I went and seen Splinters this weekend. You're like, oh Splinters, that's cool, whatever. You're like, hey dude, I seen a War Gobble Galiza Babla. You're like, what the fuck are you even talking
Right,
about?
yeah, right.
Why? That was like 19 syllables, 3 X's. I'm like, I don't even know what is that? Like, so it's like you kind of have that too. It's short, it's sweet, it's one word, but it means something, and it's
Right.
just like, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. And I wanted to jump on this a little bit too, Billy. When you guys played that Upheaval, now was that you got to sell so many tickets type of deal or what?
No, we they had a form up on their website, and we had just reached out and asked, if they were looking for openers still, and they reached back out to us, and it was honestly one of the best festivals we probably ever played.
Yeah.
It was unreal.
It was how well they put on the festival, getting you through it, keeping you up to date, communication. Yeah, I mean, you hear horror stories like the Blue Ridge. What was it, 2 years ago? The rock fest that was just chaotic. You hear all these horror stories, and then for us, it was like the biggest festival at the time that we were going to be on.
Yeah.
And it was so smooth, so taken care of. They did a phenomenal job, and there were no like you need to sell this amount of tickets, anything like that. It was like, hey,
that's
the more you
cool.
sell,
Yeah.
the better time slot you're gonna get.
Oh,
which
really?
makes
That's what it
sense.
is. They reward you by that.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not like a deter. Like if you didn't sell any tickets, well, you're off the festival. It's just like, hey, if you have the demand there, we're gonna put you higher and higher.
Right.
That's how I think we got that 8 o'clock slot.
Yeah, you guys closed
between-
out that
Yeah, it was perfect.
stage.
It was perfect.
Yeah, between Beartooth and Bad Omens too, I felt like we had a really good. We sold out of merch that
Nice.
day. We
Oh,
didn't have that
badass.
much at the time because we were trying to build up, and it was like, oh, we're not going to get it in time. Well,
Yeah.
screw it, let's just sell it. So it was awesome. And then there was a part of a merch split with the venue, but that's pretty typical with
Right.
festivals.
Something like a
Yeah.
festival.
Not like venues, like venues,
Right.
I think that's real shitty. But
Yeah.
like
Right.
festivals, and it wasn't even all that much. Like it was still awesome. And then we did get paid a portion of the ticket sales too. So it was like,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, it was really
Okay.
awesome. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they treated us like unreal. It was so cool. Like they don't really treat you like a local band. They treat you just like you're one of the headliners. Like
yeah,
Nice.
we had our own spot to go eat if we wanted to with the other bands. Like there was water, a huge tent for refreshments, everything. It was a pretty cool experience altogether.
That's cool to hear, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Support Upheaval.
Yeah, I've actually been going 2 years. I'm going to my 3rd year now. Before I ever went to Upheaval, I went to an Upheaval after party to see Spirit Box.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
essentially been supporting Upheaval most of the way now, but I feel like you guys may be poised to be on the hill instead of on the live and local stage. So
yeah. There was like some debate, but if we would have taken, I think that or got put on, we would have been the first band. And I thought was really awesome. I'm always, when I go to a show, I want to see those bands I haven't heard of. I've learned of so many new bands that way. But watching how many people were still coming in like 3-4 hours after gates open because the line was so huge. For us, I felt like it was really awesome to close that stage. But we did want to be on that hill.
Yeah, and that's actually, and when the slot we did get, it was actually perfect because we had like the people up on the hill were just ending, and everybody's coming down.
Yep.
But then people are waiting for, and then the next person up was Bad Omens.
Yeah.
And so everybody coming down the hill just kind of sat there and they watched us, and everybody then flooded to Bad Omens, so it's
Yeah,
perfect.
my wife and I. Well, I'm going with my wife, so I'm not going to be down in the craziness.
Right.
Did that to her one time at Meshuggah. She was like, "Let's get out of here now." But we just sat down like well before Bad Omens, and I was like, "Oh, Splinters, we listened to them on our show. Let's check it out." So like, just turn our heads over here and watch you guys, and then Bad Omens is coming on in 20 minutes or more after you. So it was a really good spot for you guys, but I think you do want to be on the hill. I think
definitely.
I think it sounds better. Like that,
Me too.
Yeah.
that stage that you guys had, it sounded okay, but I felt it's just not built for
Our style.
the
I
whole
feel it.
venue,
Or,
the
yeah,
whole
venue.
setup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're not, because it's projecting like in a weird angle.
Yeah.
Because it's hitting off
And then
Yeah.
you're
And
hitting
bouncing
the hill
off the
with
hill, yeah.
bouncing off the hill.
So I try not to be super critical of it because it is a festival in our backyard. I just feel like let's have the local band split time on the hill or on the main stage, and
take
know.
out that third local stage because
Yeah.
they had it kind of worked out that well, or just better playing. Because I agree, I would have loved to been on the hill, but I think for us as just thinking of the exposure, that worked out better for us too.
great time
Yeah.
slot.
Yeah.
You can't beat that, especially like you guys said, between those bands, closing out the
Like,
stage.
what else are they going to do?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and there's a good chance a lot of people are going to miss you, even though you can get a good turnout in the very beginning of the day. Because what
Right.
did you say, Dayseeker? Beginning of the day when you
Yeah,
went,
yeah.
like
they
that's
were
that's
fucking. I didn't even know what to expect, and I like fell in love with those guys. 'Cause I was
Yeah.
like, holy shit, this dude can sing, and
Yeah.
you don't hear
Corey's
that all the
voice,
time. And
yeah.
they're kind of like, he's like, he kind of even said, yeah, we're not like that heavy or nothing. There wasn't really that. It was like Lamb of God was like the heaviest band that year.
Yeah.
Because it was 2 years ago,
Right.
like so wasn't even nothing really that heavy,
Right.
Anyway, but it was just like. I was like, holy shit, they were fucking good, man.
Yeah, that was a good
big
year.
Dayseeker fan for sure.
Yeah.
But I like stuff like that too,
You
not
can
just
get
all metal
but
shit.
to the
so.
point, you can get a good crowd
Yeah.
early on, right?
Right.
Yeah, dude, that place
absolutely.
was fucking packed. Like
Yeah.
you couldn't even move in there. It
We
was-
had to be there
Yeah.
at 8 in the morning, and it was
Oh,
like,
shit.
yeah, and we
Yeah.
stayed up, and not necessarily partying the night before, but all excited, you know. And then they're like, "Hey, yeah, can you get here at 8 to check in, and then you can go back, and you just need to check in. We want to make sure you're here." But we were hanging out Grand Rapids, we're.
I was like,
East
that
Side
doesn't really
guys.
work for you guys to
Yeah.
go back. Yeah, let me
Yeah.
drive 3 hours back.
Oh, a funny
Yeah.
story. So I travel a lot for work. I guess to touch base back on that, my work is really cool with like me taking time because I work remote when I'm home.
Right.
I just have to travel a crazy amount sometimes. But the perks of that is I get loyalty points and like reward points. So we ended up staying at the the Amway in
Oh, no
downtown.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they show up. They're like, "Are we at the right fucking place?"
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
me and Casey walk up, like I have my guitar on my back and
Bucket hats?
I'm in a bucket hat and cut off and like board shorts, and Casey's basically in the same stuff. And I walk in the hotel. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, there's a chandelier and a fountain in here. What are we doing here?
But I got it. We got 2 rooms side by side, so that's like
Yeah.
the other benefit of like doing the tour and stuff. Like I have
That's
some
super
loyalty
cool.
stuff that
There you
helps
go.
us,
Hell yeah, that's badass.
get in, take a shower,
Yeah.
not just
Yeah.
a truck stop,
Right.
little bath
Yeah.
in the
No,
sink. So
I think you guys are built for it. You got a lot of things going for you. You're doing all the right things. It's keep plugging away at it. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
obviously, I hope Casey gets well sooner than later. And
Us too.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you guys get out there on the road because, you're already doing all the right things. It's now just
Yeah.
like, what is that next step? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
have you guys concerned yourself with the possibility of a record label? Is that something that matters to you? Is that something you think you need?
I don't necessarily. I think if we did do it, it's something to expedite what we're doing or trying to
Yeah.
do, I guess you could say. But we've been doing all of this on our own so far. Like, why not
Yeah.
keep doing it?
And it seems like nowadays you can go either way. You
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
DIY it or
Yeah.
label and just still have a pretty good time at it.
Yeah. And I'm not opposed to it, but then I think record labels got called, not to say it's not happening anymore. I think enough labels got called out
Yeah.
on a bunch, taking advantage of a
Yeah.
lot
Yep.
of artists. So I
Yep.
think some of them are like, so we're not like trying to jump at the head. If it's opportunity comes and we're happy with it, we'll do it. But
Yeah. If
we're
it
just
makes
gonna
sense.
keep grinding.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
We
Right.
just don't live in the label day and age
No.
anymore.
Right.
They used
Yeah.
to have, they were the gatekeepers of everything. Which,
Absolutely.
Which in some aspects is kind of good because then you just don't have Joe Schmo fucking putting out music,
Right,
But nowadays you can reach, the guy that drives 5 hours to your show because
Yeah.
he heard you online or seen a show
Right.
and then
Saw a
listens to you all
TikTok
the
or
time,
something.
So,
Yeah.
you got that reach now as long as you're putting that content or being present out there, which
Right.
you guys do because at least you're consistent with your music all the time. So,
Yeah.
Let me ask a question that I don't usually get to ask. We're starting to run out of time, but we do still got some time. So
Okay.
I kind of want to know, we talk about music to death all the time. Like, so what do you guys like to do outside of actually working on music? I know for a guy like me, it's pretty much all music all the time, but there are some other things that I can get into. So what are some things that you actually enjoy that's not music related? Let's just put it that way.
I fish my ass off.
Oh, okay.
I love fishing. And I'm one of those rare, I don't mind fish. I don't eat it. It's just getting out there, catch and release. I actually come over to this side, to Tippy Dam. You guys familiar with that?
Heard of it, yeah.
Oh,
It's a fishing spot,
Yeah.
big for salmon. I go salmon fishing. I bring it home. Salmon I'll keep, you know. But that's one of my big things I like to do. My wife and I will play disc golf, stuff like that. And then,
Get outside.
Yeah. When it's nice, like I ice fished all winter long, and then there was mornings of shows. I'm like, oh, we can only stay out till 1. I got to get back, get ready. We got a show tonight.
It was the same as from Colin and Throne.
Yeah.
Like Nate was saying the same thing when they were on the show. He's like, yep, I get up at 4 a.m. after a show, or I'll just stay up and I'll go out fishing.
Yeah,
It's to pass up the fishing.
Yeah.
What about you, Billy?
Just play a lot of video games, honestly. Then do some fishing when the weather gets nicer.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's in love with Fortnite, so
Is that what you're playing?
yeah.
Don't sound too enthused.
Yeah, I got her off of that. We're doing there's a new game that dropped, which is drug dealing, so we've been doing that online now, so hopefully
Are you a PC gamer? Are you a console guy or
PC.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
first person shooters is like your main style.
Yeah, I mean, he makes me play League of Legends a lot. It just goes downhill after
I'm
that.
so done with that game right now.
Well, I was thinking about this the other night. This is one of the most toxic communities. Am I right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you got your Rick and Morty. You got your
yeah.
I don't know.
They
Like,
are the worst.
I was thinking about like some of the most toxic fan bases of across all things, and I think League of Legends is
League,
up there. I know I played Dota. That was
Yeah,
insane.
that one. Yeah.
This fucking like. Look, first of all, I suck at this game and I know it, but you don't have to get into the whole
You don't have to
like.
make me feel
You're
worse
talking about my
it.
mom.
Your
like
mom
that.
made you suck at it.
Right.
It's just you can load into a game and you're already being bitched at. It's like, man, what
took you
is
so long?
Yeah.
I'm like, I finally sit down to play a video game and I'm just getting bitched at. Like, there's no winning today.
Yeah,
That's-
I already had a bad day. These guys are making
Yeah.
it even worse, and now I'm really having a bad day.
Fuck all that.
Yeah, your World of Warcraft is another one. Rick and
yeah.
Morty. I was just thinking of all kinds of toxic fan bases where they turned me off of games for a while. I did find a good MMO, Guild Wars 2, where it was like a really friendly community. I was like, oh, I can play this game. Then I had to give that up just because it was like, you're doing raids Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and you're like, I got a family.
Yeah,
I can't just sit here and work on my gear and my DPS every day. But yeah, games. I'm with you there, bro. I play a lot of games. I got off of them, but then now with my daughter, she's of age where she can play too.
Oh,
so
nice.
we play in these various Minecraft servers,
Nice.
like just at
Hell
at
yeah.
home, like not with other people.
Yeah.
I'm obviously not exposing my 8-year-old child to like
What took you so long to get on,
Yeah.
child?
little shithead.
Your dad probably. My dad's right here. Well, fuck that guy.
He's an asshole.
too.
So
He was on League of Legends. Yeah, fuck that guy.
Seen him come up, same tag, hate that guy. Same tag. Little Nicky, hate that guy.
Well, before we get on to you, Tyler, tell me a little bit about your stream, though, Billy. I heard you mention that a couple times. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I just got bored one day, and Twitch doesn't save the VODs, or at least I haven't found a way for it to, because will just go on there and put requests are free, go at it, and then you'll have some asshole come in on my drum stream and say, hey, play Bleed by Meshuggah, and I'm like, I'm going to ban your ass. But I stream over on kick.com and just do free requests, and that's pretty much it. Just jam out. Have some people request Meshuggah every so often. But it's cool because it's a way for me to promote the music, but also challenge myself. Like, I rarely say no to a song unless it's like Lorna Shore, like blast beats 24/7.
Right.
But it allows me to play a lot of different music, get better, and maybe even hear a part and find a way to introduce it to our music that we might have laying around. So
Oh yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
A lot of time you'll catch us in the chat talking shit too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
will they
Yeah.
request all kinds of music, or is it just mostly metal? Do you say, or like what?
Oh no, yeah, it's everything. I'll be playing Sabrina Carpenter,
Okay, I
and
gotcha.
then next song might be a Splinter song.
Okay.
Trap
Yeah.
music,
And then
very diverse.
There's a
I'd
lot
say.
of really sus songs that get requested as well. Yeah, Dixon Dallas is one of them. I'm not sure if you
Nope.
shout out Dixon Dallas.
Crazy song.
I only know about Dix and Austin, not.
But no, yeah, it's cool. You really never know what you're gonna get. Like I said, Sabrina Carpenter, Avenged Sevenfold gets requested all the time.
Sort of like real popular shit. Kinda, like,
Yeah.
gotcha.
There'll be some
Yeah.
obscure ones I've seen every once in a while.
Yeah.
I'll be an asshole, request some despised icon. the
Alex Grind.
the one day on stream,
Infant Annihilator.
yeah, he started a little bit. He got halfway through, and he's like, "Nick, fuck you. I'm done with this one. Go to the next one."
Yeah.
So what
that's
kind of
not easy.
what kind of
shit,
heads
but-
up do you get on this? Is it just like on the spot?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just on the spot. If someone comes into my chat and they want to hear a song, I just go to Spotify, play it, and then
Okay, so they're hearing the music, you're hearing everybody's hearing everything, but you're just playing along with it.
yep,
Yeah.
yep,
And you're a little bit more prominent in the mix, I guess.
yeah.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I don't know exactly how the levels are, but I would say probably like my drums are turned up like 3 or 4 decibels, just a little bit higher than
Yeah.
what the actual thing is.
Okay.
Well, so kick.com, what's your tag, or how can people find you?
But it's kick.com/Science Bill Nye.
Science Bill 9. Okay,
Yeah,
so you
sweet.
guys go request some songs. No songs that you've heard on this show, though.
Yeah. Please no bleed. Please
Yeah,
no
yeah.
The
There's like
guy's
6 guys that can play that.
the guy's inhuman.
Yeah.
Insane.
Nuts.
Insane.
Love him.
All right, what about you, Tyler? What do you like to do besides?
As same like as
Video game guy?
big video game guy. And I during summer months I play a lot of golf and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And I'm big into I love hockey. Like hockey's like one of my favorite things
Your
too.
sport?
So yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit of mix of nerd and playing sports and stuff like that. Because I always did it growing up and stuff. But
Nice.
video games are definitely home. outside of-
PC too.
I right now I mostly did console, and then Billy got me on. I got one of those Rogue Allies,
Okay.
so I've been dabbling a little bit in PC. And
What's your games? You like to
I'm
FPS too?
no, I'm actually big into like single player RPGs, and like I'm a big Dark Souls guy. Big Dark
fuck
Souls,
all
big
that
From
shit, yeah.
Software.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I hate myself, so I love
I'm
those
the
games.
most casual gamer. I play everything on easy. Any of that
Yep.
Dark Souls shit can
Yeah.
go fuck right off,
I-
dude.
I love
I
it.
have no
I love
patience
it.
or time to fuck with that shit.
Yeah,
like,
me and my fiance, we both work from home from time to time, and like I'll be sitting there playing, and I'm like, this motherfucker. I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you get these iframes in these windows? This bullshit. And then I finally beat it. And I'm like, best game ever.
Right.
yeah, you're just blowing your stack the whole time. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
Play a lot of role playing games. I was into one. It's more of a dungeon crawler called Darkest Dungeon.
Oh yeah.
And then, so this is like one of my all time favorite games, and I constantly talk about it, but I haven't played it in a while. One of the last times I was playing it, I just fucking blew my stack. Like, not just once. I'm talking like 4 fucking times in a row. Just to the point of like slumping over, like my hands are holding the controller all the way to the ground. My kid's right there. I'm trying not to like set such a bad example. 'Cause
Right.
She don't do
Out of
this.
rage quit.
I have taught her like, hey, when it's not fun, just
Step away.
Drop it.
just
Take
play
a
a different
second.
game.
Yeah.
Do anything else. Don't. And then I looked over at her as I'm on the verge of tears. I've never been so mad. I'm just like, why is this fucking happening to me? And I just look at her. I'm like, this is what not to do. You getting it?
Lead by example.
You learning? Like, this is how not to do it. I should have quit 20 minutes ago. This game is like just pissing me off.
Yeah.
And there was no reason for it, but it's the RNG factor. It's
Yeah.
like the randomness of it. It's just
Yeah.
like, it wasn't my time. I should have quit the dungeon.
Yeah.
Just known, like,
Right.
don't die. Don't lose the trinkets. just know better. Like, know when your back's up against the wall. But those are my games too, bro. Like,
Yeah,
I love
that.
crafting and RPG are like the games that I gravitate
yeah,
toward.
yeah, like Dark Souls from South, like Bloodborne's like my favorite.
Okay.
It's my favorite out of all of them.
Nice.
But I'm also big into like Metroidvanias and stuff
Yep.
like that. So like
Platformers kinda.
yeah. So
Yeah.
Hollow Knight's like one of my other favorite
love it.
games.
That
Yeah,
game's
so, yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
got the
Oh, nice.
Hollow
Very
Knight
nice.
stuff.
Yeah.
I don't
So-
own Hollow Knight, but it's in the wish list. But I own
Yeah.
like Ori, similar, I think.
Yeah, Ori. Yeah, Ori and the Blind
Ori,
Forest.
sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, I just been playing the Resident Evil 4 remake on
That's-
PS5.
That's
Hell
me.
yeah.
I'm doing the same
that
thing right now.
motherfucker's sick, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
Nice.
I used
so
to play.
badass.
I used to play a lot of shooters like back in the day. Like I think the last like real one I got into it was Call of Duty Ghost. That was
Oh,
the
okay,
last one
okay.
that I
Yeah.
absolutely loved. And then after that, I just kind of fell off playing
Yeah.
them.
I don't play a lot of that. I just play any of that single player stuff
Yeah.
like God of War, Ragnarok,
Yes.
or like any of that stuff that's
Yeah,
just
like-
solo.
Yep.
I just
Yeah.
can veg out, and then I can pick the game up. Like if I like, I was in the middle of playing that game, and I didn't play it literally for 4 weeks because I was busy doing
Yeah.
podcasts, jamming,
Yeah.
doing all this different shit. We were recording, so every one of my minutes was recording. So it was like I didn't play it for 4 weeks, but I could pick it back up and kind of remember the controllers. You start getting into some of these games, there's so much to them. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, I can't play.
I gotta
need,
learn
like,
all the boss
yeah,
patterns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
I just don't have time or energy for that
Yeah.
because I'd be the same way blowing my
Yeah.
stack. My kid, real quick before we wrap this up, my kid still brings up, and he's 23, and when he was like 13 or something, we were playing 2K, and fucking he had the Cavs and Timothy Mozgov, which is this tall ass fucking center dude that sucks shit. He hit like 6 threes in a row with him. I'm like, what the fuck? And I just threw the control. I was so fucking mad because Mozgov ain't hitting no threes.
Right, right,
he
right,
sure the
right.
fuck ain't doing it on 2K on me, but he did it 6 times in a row and he's beat me, and he's just like laughing
you
at me.
got
I'm like, fuck this, and I threw it, and he's like, remember that time, Dad?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Shaq ma-
Fucking how could I forget? Thanks for bringing it up.
It's like Shaq making. a
Fuck
free
Timothy
throw.
Mozgov.
Hate that guy.
Oh, that's
So-
He's been out of the
hilarious.
league forever, but
Big hockey fan. How do you feel about Ovechkin about to become the
Oh,
all-time goal
insane!
scorer?
Insane.
And
Like,
do you think he's the GOAT?
I love him, but I grew up with him,
Right.
so I obviously love him, and I know the game's different, like versus
But
with, like,
he's a real one,
Yeah,
right? He's
yeah.
not like a Sidney Crosby goal
No.
scorer. He's
Yeah.
not like a Wayne Gretzky.
He's just
He'll lay your
he's just a
ass.
pure
Yeah.
goals. He's just a pure sniper. He's just
Yeah.
Yeah,
like-
but also take and give a hit. Correct me
Yeah,
if I'm wrong,
absolutely,
right? Like he's tough
absolutely.
as nails. He's
Yes,
a real
absolutely.
fucking hockey player,
Or
right?
drop them
Russian
gloves,
machine
too.
don't
Yeah.
break.
Yeah. So when I didn't know, like I know he's been in the league forever, but I didn't know he was.
4 or 5, I think.
Yeah, I didn't know he was that close to like becoming the all-time
Yeah.
goal scorer. But I was like, that's my dude
Yeah.
because I don't watch a lot of hockey, quite a little bit, in fact.
Yeah.
But I'm familiar and I follow like peripherally.
Yeah.
But I thought Sidney Crosby was like the guy, the goal scoring guy,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, definitely. Crosby's a generational talent. I hate him, but
Yeah, as a Red Wings fan, I
yeah,
also hate
yeah,
him. but-
you have to. We should have won that 2009 Cup, but but yeah, Ovi's crazy.
Yeah.
And I love being able to like see it, and
Yeah.
see it all, and like Gretzky was always like pass first and then score, and
Right.
like during the time, nobody was doing like the butterfly goalie and stuff like that
Sure.
at the time, so the goalie like position has like evolved so much
right.
that is so much harder now. I
Right.
feel like, and like the game's a lot faster now too,
Right.
and
Yeah, all the sports they
I was
only
gonna
get
say
faster.
it's the same
Yeah.
LeBron versus Jordan
Yeah.
debate.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
eras. You're always
And it's
playing
like-
eras,
Yeah,
right?
and it's
So
like like at the time when Gretzky and everybody was like, "Oh, Gretzky's the GOAT," and then they're like, "Oh, no, Gordie Howe is." It's like
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
different time.
yeah, it's the
Right.
same thing. Oh,
Yeah.
Kareem is a GOAT. No, now Jordan's the
Well,
GOAT.
yeah,
No,
right.
now
Yeah.
it's
Well, they always say like, well, if you drop LeBron in, Jordan's era, he would either be as good or not. They have all these
Yeah.
arguments, but it's like
Yeah.
he would only be a product of his era at the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like look at all these shredders that play guitar now. That didn't really exist back
No.
then. Like
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
wanked and played like 80s power
Yeah.
metal
Yeah.
solos or whatever, but now musicians are like 10 times better
Yeah.
just by virtue of the fact that the resources are there.
yeah, so
Yeah.
much information.
Yeah.
there,
Yeah,
right,
like we got the-
access to.
And
You
you
got
can
the
see-
YouTube.
Yeah, and you can
Yeah.
see everybody like social media, like
Yeah.
everybody's so prominent now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's the same for athletes now too. There's like so much more at their fingertips. The work,
Yeah.
the bench, like the workout rooms and all that. Like
Yeah.
everything, the training, everything kind of builds in
Cold
stats.
plunge,
Yeah.
heat, all
Some-
that
yeah.
sauna, fucking
Some kids in like middle school are getting college offers
Yeah.
already, like
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
like crazy
Yeah.
to just see. It's wild.
Well, shit. We're about running out of time, so we got 2 more questions for you fellas, if you're good with that. I know you
Yeah.
guys got a long drive, so we don't want to keep you all day.
Right.
But first question, just tell us what's next in the Splinters universe. I know we went over a little bit of it, but just wrap it up put a little bow on it for us.
Our plan is we really want to push out a full length album this
Sweet.
year. I think we have enough content already, just kind of pick and choose. But luckily, we don't have a very show heavy late spring, early summer, early fall yet. So we're gonna push out. We're hoping a full length album this year. Really focus on getting tour ready, prepping, getting into other states, and then just keep putting out music. We'll probably do a single or two off the album, but it's going to be encapsulated all in one.
Yeah, because that's one thing I hate is like when people drop an album and they release half the album.
Yeah. I only want one or two singles. Yeah. One or two
like
singles.
I think when Lorna Shore's dropped, they dropped like 5 songs on the album, and I'm like, so I get 4 songs. I get 3 new songs. So
I've always been a big, because I grew up in the like early days with full length albums yearly or every other year, you know, and then it just feels like it changed over time to be shorter attention spans. Give me singles all the time. So we really want to get an album out there, and then just keep pushing on these shows. I think like getting on bigger shows.
You can drop a couple singles in advance of the album, but then you want to still like continue to drop singles afterwards, and that's where you can lean into the videos or the lyrical videos or what have you. And you can still make those songs even though they've been out. You give them more relevance, like
I've heard content.
Yeah, I've heard the song. Maybe the album's been out for a month or two or whatever. And I've listened to it several times. But hey guys, real quick, we got this new video for that song that go check it out. Tell us what you think. So it just kind of keeps you relevant and another way of looking at the business model. I know there's the singles. Or you do the album, but then you have to continue to promote the album.
Yeah, that's a big thing when you talked earlier, too, about people dropping albums and they kind of blow their whole wad and like, oh, here's 8 songs, and then you don't hear from them for a while because a lot of bands do not do that. They're like, oh, this is out, now let's move on to the next thing when no one's heard that thing because putting it out and writing it is only half the battle. The other half is getting it in front of people, not just at shows, but like in their algorithm with a new video, with lyric video, a playthrough, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
Fucking, so, that's
playthroughs
a huge
another
part of it.
And I think that's what worked for us. We came out with a handful of songs. We got some traction, and then we just wanted to stay relevant because, like you said, the algorithm plays so much into it now. So you dump all your eggs in one basket at the beginning, you don't have a lot to keep pushing out there. So we feel at the point where it's album time.
Hell yeah.
Sweet.
Cool. Anything we missed Splinters wise? Anything you want to say or go over before we're completely done? Mod's got one final question for you guys.
I get to go. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, no, I think we really encapsulated it. Yeah.
Awesome.
You guys are not as angry as I thought you were going to be. So that was disappointing. I thought
we can
flip
the table.
Yeah. You're going to have to fight Jay because I'm not having a part of it.
The Knicks are getting out of here when that happens.
Too old, man. So yeah, I'd like to let all of your fans and our fans both know like what you guys are currently listening to, like what you're hype on, and that goes from like what's heavy and what's chill. So what do you guys like that's out now? It doesn't have to be new. Just what are you listening to right now? Like what's the first thing that comes to mind that's heavy, and then what do you like to chill out to if there's a time and a place for that in your life?
I've always been a huge I've been getting back into currently Waking the Cadaver.
Okay.
I like them back then. I forget the album. It's a purple album. I want to say it came out in 2021, and it's so groovy. It's more slam.
Yeah.
It's like, I think, some of the slammiest stuff. And then to chill, like Billy said, Sabrina Carpenter. My music taste, my parents were huge hair metal people, so I'm all over the place. But I like American folk music, too.
Oh, yeah. Love it.
Like Billy Strings, I get down on all the time. So I'm all over the place.
Nice.
Sweet. Billy Strings?
Billy Drums.
Speaking of Billy, Billy Percussions.
One of the
Billy Bongos?
That's the bedroom name.
NC-17 episode.
Gregory Alan Isakov is probably one of my biggest musicians that I listen to daily. He's folk, real mellow, chill music. And then for heavy, probably the Boys in Six Deep. I was listening to them before we did the weekend tour, so when that came around,
I found out, I loved them beforehand, and when I found out, they're like, they asked us?
Yeah. I was like, hell yeah, say less. So
Nice.
it's been my mix lately.
Yeah.
Cool. What about you, Tyler?
I like to make playlists and like whatever I'm feeling at the time, and I made one playlist and I keep going back to it. Like I'll check out a new album. Like I was listening to the new Cabal album, and that was fantastic. And then my buddy texted me the other day. Me and him were listening on the way here. The Barbarians of California.
All right.
Found that about them, and they're like Every Time I Die, like Better Lover sound. I love them, but I always go back to this playlist. It's Loathe, Acacia Strain, Landmarks, and Billie Eilish.
What a mix.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's just
That's
a
a good
wild
mix.
ride because I love Billie Eilish. Love her.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Fair.
Well, shit, with that being said, I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to come all the way here, man. We really appreciate it. I know it's a haul, but fucking we love when bands come and hang out with us for a couple hours on
It's a lot of
Sunday.
fun.
We get to know you guys and get to know your music, and it's just always cool. Like, that's one of my favorite part of the show is just meeting new people and just, you know, we all share the love for music already, but it's just, I appreciate you guys' time. I know it's a lot to fucking drive, but
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Thank you
no,
guys.
thank you guys
for having
for-
us.
Yeah, we were really excited.
That's cool.
We started seeing you even before you did the reaction to Blind Eyes,
Okay.
popping up on Instagram,
Sweet.
and then so we were super stoked to come out here.
Nice.
This
Hell
is
yeah.
one of our more excited things that we had going on this time of
Oh,
year. It's
hell
the
yeah.
band, so appreciate you guys for having us out here.
For sure, man.
You guys are gonna get a bunch of reels out of us, and
Yep.
we'll,
Hell yeah.
we'll
Yep,
be in your
we'll give-
inbox.
Yep, that's the only thing that we kind of ask. We'll just ask it on air. Is like when I share the stuff with you, just share it on your pages.
Oh, yeah.
and give
Absolutely.
you some content and shit that you guys can actually share. You know, it kind of helps both of us out
Yeah.
in the long run. You know, so yeah. With that being said, go check out Splinters.
Yes.
Maybe new album coming sooner than later, but they just dropped a single like 2 months ago, and it's excellent. So
Yeah.
go check out Splinters. And with that being said, much love. Keep it metal. Peace. Thank you so much for checking out the episode. Be sure to hit that like button and give us a share.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed our podcast today, please give it a rating on your streaming service to help us gain some exposure.
And if you really enjoyed the show, please give us a follow or hit that subscribe button and come hang out with us every week. And remember, keep it metal.